need it good, good, I'll blow your mind. Yeah. Bang, bang, into the wall. I know you want it. Bang, bang, all over you. I'll let you have it. Wait a minute, let me take you there. Wait a minute till you. Oh, hey. Bang, bang, there goes your heart. I know you want it. Bang, bang, speed of my car. I'll let you have it. Wait a minute, let me take you there. Wait a minute till you. Oh, hey. Then I'll let you hold her hand and go, but I'ma show you how to graduate. Yeah. I don't wanna hear you talk, talk. Hey, come on, show me what your mama gave you. You got everything. Now what don't say a thing. See, everybody could be good to you. You need a bang, gonna blow your mind. Bang, bang, into the wall. I know you want it. Bang, bang, all over you. I'll let you have it. Wait a minute, let me take you there. Wait a minute till you. Oh, hey. Bang, bang, there goes your heart. There goes your heart, baby. Bang, bang, speed of my car. I'll let you have it. Wait a minute, let me take you there. You know what, girls? Let me show you how to do it. Just gotta express in a battle, it's how we full throttle, it's swimming in the grotto, we winning in the lotto, we dipping in a pot of blue foam. So, getting so good, it's tripping on wood, get a ride in the engine that could go. Man, robbing it, bang, bang, clocking it, queen, I'll be dubbing it, prominent. Right and natty, if they test me, they sorry. Ride this out like a Harley, they pull up British Ferrari. Yeah, we bagging, bug ragging, he's slagging. It ain't karaoke night, but get the mic as I'm singing. B to the A, to the N, to the G, to the B to the A, to the N, to the G, to the let's go. Say anybody could be good to you. You need backup, play your mind. Yeah. Bang, bang, into the wall. Yeah. Bang, bang, all over you. I'll let you have it. Wait a minute, let me take you there. Wait a minute till you. Oh, yeah. Bang, bang, there goes your heart. I know you want it. Bang, bang, speed of my car. I'll let you have it. Wait a minute, let me take you there. Wait a minute till you. Bang, bang, into the wall. I know you want it. Bang, bang, all over you. I'll let you have it. Bang, 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 bang. Bang, 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 bang. Bang, bang, there goes your heart. I know you want it. Bang, bang, this last one right now. I'll let you have it. Wait a minute, let me take you there. Wait a minute till you. Oh, hey.
Why? I look so frumpy and grumpy. Hold on. There we go.
All that we have
Hi.
is this
Yo, what's up? They're not done yet. They're not done. Let me turn down the music. One second.
But all I can taste is
Whoop. Yeah. So, yeah, we're doing a low budget music video, and by low budget, I mean my entire budget is going towards the video editing, basically, getting Andy to do it. We're doing just like a lyric video, but I thought it would be nice lighting. Thank you. I don't have any lights on. We're in a heat wave right now. Usually I have like a front light on me so I look brighter, but it's too hot. If I put the lights on, I will bake alive in here. Audio only. Thank you for lurking. Good to see you, Dedu. Hi, Raz. Thank you so much for being here, y'all. Haywire with the 12 months. One whole heckin' year of support. Thank you so much. Yeah, my skin, like, it's hot. I'm sweating. I am breaking out. But it's okay, because we're going to cover everything in makeup. Yeah, I pay him in money. Well, he doesn't technically have an income source at the moment, but like he's making some money from YouTube, but you know, YouTube money is not very lucrative unless you have like 1 million subs and hundreds of thousands of views on everything. But yeah, I always pay people for video work. I've said if they offer to do it for free, then I'm not gonna say no. I also do like exchange, like I'm like, okay, well, if you do this much hours of work, I can teach you music lessons, or You know, I can like lend you some of my gear for a week, like rent you my gear, it's like random stuff like that. So money doesn't have to be involved. 'Cause let's face it, starving artists, they're everywhere, right? So, but yeah, so I wanted to create a look for monsters under my bed. Yo, Ice Cream, welcome. Oh my gosh, hype train already. It's okay, we'll still be on when you get back, Timothy. Unless it takes you 4 hours to do groceries, we'll still be here. It's gonna be a 4-hour stream. And Borneus, thank you for the 30 months. Oh my goodness. Let's go. But yeah, so I kind of have the concept. I bought colored contacts. So we're going to have red eyes and white eyes. I need to restyle my wig. She's looking a little bit tatty. She's looking a little bit ratty tatty. So we're going to restyle that pompadour today. And then you guys will get to see me put on my face paint, my makeup. I know a lot of people are always curious about how I do my makeup, so it's fun. It's fun. We'll do it on stream once I finished creating these. I wouldn't say, so Infrared, to answer your question, we're not abandoning Bandcamp for Kickstarter. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Kickstarter is just a way to get my stuff printed on vinyl, CD, and USB. So I'm going to get into that in just a moment. Thank you so much, Expired, for freaking 47 months, tier 3. It's great to have you. Are you free right now or are you working? Did I catch you at a time where you can actually watch stream? Too many mods, I can retire. Yes. So yeah, so this is kind of what I came up with. I was looking, my friend did a photo shoot, Melanie. So she was in the Chemicals music video. She's a full-time model. And she did this photo shoot with these crazy cool horns. And I was like, oh my God, like that would be perfect for monsters. Can I borrow your horns, or like can I pay you for them? And she's like, oh, I threw them out. We got them covered in paint and they were kind of gross and sticky. And I'm like, no. So then I went online to try and find like a horn type of thing, and I couldn't find anything. And the ones that I did find were like Etsy, and they were like hundreds of dollars. I'm like, low budget, minimum effort, low budget music video, because we're gonna do a full budget music video when I can afford to. With like a full cabaret and like burlesque and like aerial artists and hire the band and the upright bass. Like it's gonna be a full production. But for the time being, the song is dropping the first Friday in June. So June the 3rd. And that's going to be the pre-release party weekend. So with the Kickstarter that's launching tomorrow, mark your calendars. Because they are limited. I don't think we're going to sell out of all the CDs and vinyls, but there are some art prints, photo shoot prints that are very limited. And of course, only one person is going to be able to take home the original oil painting that I created that you guys have been seeing in the background here, and the original watercolor. So it's like kind of first come, first serve. If you've been saving up, you can snatch those prizes right away. But yeah, the Kickstarter is launching tomorrow. And part of the prizes for people who are backing, if you donate $10 or more towards the Kickstarter, this includes even if you pre-order the vinyl, if you pre-order the album, anything, you guys get a unique ticket to a pre-release party. So we're going to be doing a big Zoom call. There's one on Thursday, 2 on Saturday, and 2 on Sunday, first week of June. So you can be the first to hear the album. We're going to listen to it front to back before it's ever released in stores. If you guys simply can't wait till the end of June, you can get tickets to the pre-release party first week of June. So I'm very excited about that. And then Friday, the Friday 3rd in June is when we're dropping monsters. So we're going to do a little release stream party. And yeah, this is for the music video for it, which we're shooting today. So hopefully there's enough time in the next 3 weeks. Oh gosh, that is so loud. I'm sorry. When's your private hearing? You don't get private hearings. It's only a Zoom call. But the thing is, you don't have to put your camera on, and mics will be muted. So it'll basically just be me kind of doing a presentation for you guys. But you can have your cameras on if you want to jam along and like see everybody. The one rule is no recording. You can't record it. You can't film it. It's super private, and I can't enforce that So it's just gonna be like, just please don't record it because that will ruin it for everybody. You know? So yeah, hi Furry Thighs, welcome. Hi Joe, hi Cold Fry, hi Egonox, thank you for the 8 months. And Oleklamas for the 3 months, welcome back. You got your party cat painting. Heck yes, I'm glad it made its way to you. I did mail out all the prizes, all the website orders are all caught up. They have been for over a week now. And so yeah, so it does reassure me though when people tell me they got their things, because the mail is not always reliable and I don't have tracking. Because tracking would be stupidly priced. Like, it only cost me $2 to ship the little cat arts that I made. Which is nice, because it's a free giveaway. So, it's crazy with the art prints is it cost me like $20 to ship. So, every time I'm doing like a giveaway, I'm like, oh, there's $20 worth of just shipping costs. Ooh. But anyway. So, today... how much will be pre-ordering the CD be? So we're going to look at that right now, actually. Let's look at the rundown of the Kickstarter. What's up, Toto? Wait, today's Thursday. Today's the day that you're doing a stream, too. But you're doing a stream later. It's later, right? Or is it during the day? I can't remember. I have a terrible memory. Okay, let me get to the Kickstarter so we can show you the tiers. And then we are going to finish the horns. Today, we're going to finish these on stream. And I'm going to style the wig, and then I'm going to do my makeup on stream and get contacts in my eyeballs and get in full costume. Oh, nice. Crap, I'm sorry. Just scheduling with streamers, man. I'm always trying to watch everybody stream, but then it's like, well, I'm currently streaming, so I don't know what to do. Anyways, let me preview it for you. So, are you guys ready? You guys ready? I'm going to pause my music for a second. Thank you for the hype train, by the way, y'all. I'm not even trying to, like, not even trying to get hype right now. I'm like, work mode, business mode. Okay, here we go. Let's just do a full screen. So here is the Kickstarter project that we're launching. I'm so excited to announce that my first ever full-length album, Mind Over Matter, is finally complete. We've got the masters, they're ready to go for distribution, and Mind Over Matter is set to drop in all music streaming platforms on June 24th, 2022. With the upright bass was such a good call.
Just the tempo
and the backup vocals.
Telling me that I'll be better off dead, blaming all the monsters under my bed.
So by backing this Kickstarter, you're not only supporting me as an artist, but you're also guaranteeing your own copy of my new album on CD, vinyl, or USB, whatever you choose.
Wine and whiskey make me feel fine and frisky, but with no one to please me, how can I be?
All right, so that's the little video. Oh my gosh, Secret Agent Steve, thank you for the Prime. Yes. So if you're here from the body art browse section, don't worry, we're getting into that in a moment. I'm just doing updates on my Kickstarter because I'm primarily a musician. So here is the preview. We've got the album art right here. You'll be able to read all the descriptions and everything tomorrow when it launches, but this is just to give you like a little preview of what it looks like. I put a lot of time and effort into this, and I'm really stoked with how it turned out. I also had M Loves Music helped me with editing. So thank you, M. I don't know if M is here right now. These are all the musicians that were on the album. These are all the rewards, which we're going to get into in a little bit more detail. So as I mentioned, there's a pre-release party. Anyone who pledges $10 or more before June 5th, it has to be before June 5th because we need to make sure that you can, what's the word? So for the Zoom calls, it's a maximum of 100 people. So I don't think there's going to be more than, 500 people trying to back me. But in case there are, then I might make an extra date. But for now, the dates are June 5th at 2 p.m., Saturday 7th at 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. Wait, is that right? Because that's in June. Wait, what? Oh my God, I got the dates wrong. Crap. Okay, Remind me to change. I should just change them now. Anyways, remind me to change them. I meant to say the first week of June. I don't know why I was looking at May when I wrote that. My bad. Okay, so we're gonna fix that. But anyways, it's the first week of June. Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday will be hour-long pre-release party. We're gonna listen to the album front to back over Zoom. And then the next tier is stickers. These are stickers that I've designed or stickers that I've hired someone to design. Then we've got the actual CD. If you still have a CD player, I love you and you're the best. But even if you have a CD player in your car, this is the mock-up of what the actual CD itself will look like. I don't have mock-ups for the full package yet because I'm still waiting for those. We're going to have it on USB too. This is probably, like, I'm so stoked about this. This is so cool looking. You can add it to your keychain, and it's 32 gigs of storage space. So once you take off the album, it's got the album on it. It's got all the digital files for the art. It's also got, it's going to have some videos and stuff, like behind the scenes footage on it. And you can reuse it once you're done as just like an everyday little keychain. Yeah. And then this is what the vinyl is going to look like. It is going to be colored galaxy blue vinyl. Of course, we have the album. The actual covers are up here, which we saw earlier. So front cover, back cover. And then there's going to be a pull-out art inside, which is down here. So the pull-out poster is going to have this on one side and this on the other with all the thank yous and credits. There's also these art prints, which are super limited edition. There's only 15, and I am keeping one because, let's face it, this is gorgeous. Like, I don't think I've ever looked cooler. So 14 backers will be able to score one of those prints. And yeah, so these are all the pricings. For those of you who are curious, this does not include shipping, so please keep that in mind. I can't control the shipping costs. I honestly wish I could make shipping cheaper. It pisses me off how expensive it is to ship a tiny little box with a vinyl in it. So I have the prices set for Canada, US, and international. It's averaged out over a bunch of different countries. But yeah, current shipping costs, because of the fuel prices, because of, ongoing civil conflicts and COVID, shipping costs are insane. So I tried to make the prices as low as possible because Kickstarter does take a 10% fee. So keep that in mind. I put that in, I evaluated that into the cost. But the prices are $15 for the sticker pack, $20 for a CD, $33. And this is all Canadian, by the way. So $33 Canadian is like 27 or less US, right? I didn't mean to cough on purpose. I'm sorry. My throat's just really dry today because of all the allergies. But anyway, yeah. So we've got signed CDs for 20 Canadian. So I think that's like what? That's like 10 euros or something like that. 33 for the USB stick. The vinyl's going to be 44 Canadian plus shipping. Like all of these are, the shipping price will calculate once you've checked out. And then for $100, you get all the things. So sticker pack, the pre-release party admission, signed CD, signed vinyl, and USB. For those of you who can't make up your mind, you can get all of it. Or somebody specifically, I'm not joking, somebody asks for this. They're like, can I order 10 at once? I want to give them out to all my friends and family. And I was like, you know what? That's kind of wild, but I support that. I stand for that. So I added a tier. Scotty, thank you for the 44 months. And Kagome's here too. Hi. All the mods are here. Hello. Yeah, so for all of the things, it's only $100 Canadian, which again is like $80 US or like 70 euros. And then if you want a 10 pack of CDs, it's going to be $10. Plus you get the sticker pack if you want to just hand out CDs like candy. If you want everything, all of the above tiers, plus the photo shoot print, that's going to be $250. $750 for the original watercolor, plus the photo shoot print, plus all the other things. And then for the top, the very, very top backer, $1,000 or more gets you all of the above, plus the actual original painting that I created. It took me months to create this, and it's multiple layers, and yeah. So those are all the tiers. So you guys can get acquainted with them and maybe think about which tier you're going to go for. Again, there's no rush. This Kickstarter is going on for the next entire month and a week. It's going to be going for 5-6 weeks total. It's launching tomorrow, and then it ends at the last day of June, basically, because I want to be placing all the orders as soon as I can, because if I can order July 1st, that's so August, September, October, November, December, January, February. Like, it could take 6 to 9 months for the vinyls. So honestly, like, I wanted to be able to get the vinyls before Christmas so that you guys could have them for Christmas, because, you know, holidays and stuff. But at least for the CDs, they will be out for sure and shipped out and arrive to you before Christmas. Now, the one issue that we have with the Kickstarter is that I don't get any of the money unless we reach our goal and unless it's the end of the campaign. So because of this, I have actually set the goal way lower than what I need, because if we can at least get half of it, then I can work my butt off and put away all of the money that I make towards making it happen and getting the rest of the funding. But if we don't reach our goal, I get nothing. It's an all or nothing method that Kickstarter uses. And so if we don't reach our goal, then unfortunately the project won't happen. So that's why it's like really important, if you want to pledge or if you want to share it with your friends, tag your friends, post it in other Discords, post it on socials, or just word of mouth, like being like, hey, Merms is putting out a vinyl, you should check it out. The other thing too is like, you don't have to pledge the exact amount. You can pledge more as well if you wanted to just contribute to the funds. But if we get over our goal, then we're golden. There's no limit to how much over, but if we don't make it, it's not happening, which kind of sucks. Hi, I think I saw echolocations. How are you doing? But yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's the overlay. Again, we're doing the campaign for 5 weeks. So So yeah, so I'm, you know, I have no idea how this is going to go. I've never done a Kickstarter before. I've never printed on vinyl before. And if this doesn't work, then we're going to keep trying. I still want to get it on vinyl. I've put in a lot of work into the art and making this happen. So it's just going to take a while before I can get it on vinyl because it's expensive. We have all the costs. If you're curious too, there's all the cost breakdowns at the bottom here as well. Of how much it costs. The actual album cost 18 grand to make, and then the physical production is going to be just under 12 grand. So just play it a promo? What? What does that mean? But yeah, so CD and a sticker. So I actually didn't put CDs and stickers together. The stickers are supposed to be $15 by themselves. If you get a CD, I'll probably just throw in a sticker. It depends. So the reason it's tricky is because they don't combine the limits. So like if I have 300 stickers, I can't put 300 sticker packs. I have to put like a limited amount because there's also stickers included in the other tiers. So if there's any other tiers you want, like if you think I should do a CD and sticker combo, then I can do that. I didn't put any combos really, except for all the things, because I figure if somebody's gonna order CD and vinyl, they're gonna just want all the other things too. Hi Elbow, thank you for the 28 months. Welcome on in. And Otagiru, thank you for the 3 months with your Prime. Let's go. But yeah, wait, you made an album cover for me? What? Let me look at it. I already did the album cover, but maybe for the next one. Fan art, you said? Oh yeah. Wow! Yo, guys, check this out. That's so cool. Oh my god. What's this guy up here? Is that your little insignia? Cool. Yeah, we have a wonderful Discord full of art and stuff. If you guys wanted to check it out. Couldn't help yourself. I know, I'm so inspirational. I encourage people to make art all the time. Anyways, I'm sweating my butts off. So let's get the music back and going. And let's get started on these horns. Okay. So yeah, so that's kind of it. Is like, the stickers and everything will also be available on my website. And that's going to be like once the Kickstarter's done. So, but I can do a CD and sticker pack. Like I can do more options. It just it overcomplicates things when I do it that way, because then I have to change all the other tiers. So that's what I was trying to iterate, is that because of the limitations, like I only have 300 of each printed. So if I make an extra tier saying that there's stickers included, then I have to change every other tier that has stickers to have less options. But does that make any sense? Yeah, so it doesn't charge you until the end of the campaign. So your money is a pledge. It's saying, if this project is gonna happen, then I want in. You know, I'm supporting you, I'm investing. But if the project doesn't get complete, your investment just goes right back in your bank. It doesn't go anywhere. So so yeah, so that's it. That's how Kickstarter works. There are other fundraising platforms that I probably could have looked into, but I've heard Kickstarter's kind of the best one for that thing, and also I can potentially get backers that I don't know. Like, because it does promote music to other people on the platform who are just there for the sake of, like, I want to help support artists and stuff. So anyways, I'm going to get these up on my stand. Sorry, wig, you've got to come off for now. Let's get that pin out of there. Ow. Oh. But yeah, there's plenty of time to kind of figure out and plan what you want to do. And yeah, I hope it's a success. I hope I'm not in over my head. I get that feeling a lot when doing new projects and new endeavors. I'm like, I'm so in over my head, but I always put 150%, and I have faith, you know? I have faith in myself and my abilities and in my community and all the people who support me. Like, the fact that I have been able to make a living as an independent artist for the past 6 years or so. Like, even before I started on Twitch, like, just having one small part-time job just for extra spending money, and then just doing gigs full-time, it feels pretty cool. June 24th is when the album drops. Yes. So it'll be available on all music streaming platforms on June 24th. And the Kickstarter ends the week after that. So it's like, once it's out, I think it'll get an extra round of hype once it's actually released, so that people can like listen to it and be like, holy shit, yeah, I do want this on vinyl. But so the reason why I'm starting it now is because I want to get it sooner rather than later. And I don't get the money until the Kickstarter's over. So that's why I'm like, I could keep it going for an extra month. I could keep it going throughout July as well. But then I wouldn't be able to put the orders in till the end of July. You know what I mean? So it's pushing it back again. And ideally, like, I'm hoping that I can at least like front some of the costs. If I can like stream my ass off this month, and then I have some gigs in June, that's gonna help. I gotta plug in my hot glue gun. I have a couple good paying gigs in June that's gonna help me put some money aside. But what with like my cost of living is $3,000 a month. So that's just bills, medication, appointments, car, like, and groceries. So I'm starting to budget now. It's a wild concept. Starting to budget and understand how money works. Thank you. I'm wearing my non-binary shirt today. / chest binder. It flattens the crap out of my chest, which I love. Ugh, it's so hot. We're in a heat wave right now, but it's like, it's short enough that... Is this gonna get warm? It's like a 3-day heat wave, and then it's gonna go back to being spring weather, so I haven't installed the AC yet. I'm like, we'll just rough it out. Rough and tough it out. But I am doing a heckin' sweat right now. Okay, so this has to heat up before I can even do anything. I know! 2 weeks ago we had snow, and now it's a heat wave. Welcome to my world. Okay, let's see. see what I can do to this wig in the meantime. Oops. Come here, baby. Oh, I know this camera angle isn't ideal, but just bear with me. Yo, Diz, how are you? One of the old school homies, the OGs. 45 heckin' months. Welcome back. How have you been? How you been? We just finished announcing the Kickstarter. It drops tomorrow. That's gonna help the album get on vinyl, CD, and USB. I'm really excited for that. Maybe I should just set up a second camera. I don't know what I don't know what I'm doing right now. Cause this thing, it does have one of those. Hold on, let me get my little wig stand. Kickstarter hype. Ose avec moi. That's when you get paid. Oh, hell yeah. So I've personally, I don't think I've backed a Kickstarter before. So I'm not sure if the money comes out right away or if you just pledge and then the money comes out at the end or whatever. But I think you pay with either PayPal or credit card. I can't quite strike them out. Tomorrow's your birthday. Happy early birthday, Battle Knight. I'm gonna probably try to stream tomorrow if it's not too hot. That's the issue, is like it gets really hot upstairs in my house. Yeah, once the goal is met and it closes. Yeah. So, yeah, I want to stream tomorrow. Neb has a vet checkup appointment tomorrow. So, we'll see what my time looks like for that. I wish I could zoom out more. My camera's so up in your face. Okay. Been 3 weeks and I still can't sleep. I'm so excited for this to come out. Like, you have no idea. Still isn't. Better off dead, blame it on the monsters under my bed. Okay. I should probably get clips. You're fine. I really want to do a pompadour style, but it's just so tricky with like wig hair to get it to tease. It's so soft. Okay, I'm getting clips. Yeah, there's a chance that some payments get bounced. Oh, shnikes. So that means like, don't send out anything till the end of the Kickstarter. Is that what that means? Pretty much. I haven't committed exactly to the vet job yet. That's a good question. Just because I want to be sure that it breaks my heart because I want to do it as a part-time job. But I'm pretty sure that it would come at a detriment to my music career. But that's the thing, is like I just wanted like a stable source of income. But I can find like a stable source of income through music. I think if I start teaching music lessons, right? Like I've been talking about that a lot. But I all of my efforts, all of everything that I have been doing, has basically been working on this album. I'm doing all the art. I did all the Kickstarter. I've been in and out of the studio doing the last finishing touches of production. And then, of course, like, I realized that you actually need to take days off. So I've been taking a day off a week, too. Which is, like, taking up time, but definitely better for burnout in the long run. But yeah, I've just been, like, wanting to play video games more and more these days just to escape all the craziness that's happening. Okay. Please take days off. Exactly. Like that's the one thing, this whole hustle culture, like work every day, like if you're not making content, you're not in it, you're not working hard enough, is such bullshit. Oh, okay, we got the bang kind of working now. I love styling wigs. It's so satisfying. I just love hair. It's one of my weird OCD things. Like, I love everything about hair. I love the texture. I love how many things you can do with it. Okay, we made you a bit crazy. Just a little bit crazy, but we're gonna get it back down. Days off are boring. What? No, couldn't be. Could not be. I don't believe you. Because, like, for me, my days off are like, I get to see my friends, I make plans with friends, or go for a nice long walk, or just like cleaning is really important. I now have a weekly day where I'm like, today's cleaning day. So I have one day to like do all the cleaning and like do self-care, and then I have another day where it's just like, okay, now I can go either if I'm feeling introverted, then play video games, or if I'm feeling social, then make plans with friends. So it's like, I don't consider cleaning day a day off. I consider it like a necessity. Oh my God. I'm sorry. My nose is so itchy today. Oh, fuck. I spent a good chunk of time outside. Why is this netting all fucked up? Crap, we're gonna have to hide that. 31 degrees is nice if you're at a cottage or a beach, but let me tell you, it is not nice when you're in the city and your AC is not installed. 30 degrees Celsius. We're talking Celsius, my friend. So that's like 90s for Fahrenheit, I think. I got invited to a cottage today, but I was like, I can't. I have the Kickstarter. I've got my music video, and then I've got my vet appointment tomorrow, and then I'm so sad. I could be at a cottage right now. But you know what? I'm doing what I gotta do. Gotta hustle. Gotta work. At least sometimes. Not all the time, but enough times until you get what you gotta do done, right? To be used the pink pedal looper? Wait, what? What pedal looper? Hold on. My nose is so fucking itchy, you guys. I gotta blow it. Ugh, fuck. Ugh. Oh my God. There we go. Fuck allergies. Why? All my flowers on my trees are blooming too. The boss. Oh, you mean the red looper pedal. Yeah. I could try and teach you. I'm sure there's lots of tutorials online as well. Have you tried checking out YouTube? Oh crap, what are you doing? What are you doing, you scraggly scraggler? Okay, so now I've got you nice and smooth. I want, should I gel? Don't want it to look too messy. It's also not a very thick wig. That's the other issue, because it is a cheap Amazon wig. You know me. Because I don't have the Boss 5. I have the Boss 30. It's the itty bitty one. I also can't wait for the album Nerd. It's been way too long in the making. I'm just saying. But it's been time that I've needed to take. Like, first of all, financially, it was a pretty big project. And then I had the whole Columbia Records thing. Which didn't pan out, but while that was happening, I was like, well, I don't even know if I can put out this album if I'm signing this contract. So there was that whole debacle, and then COVID happened, there's shattered arms, like all of this crazy stuff. Okay, wait, I'm gonna spray this over here. Don't want to get hairspray on my keyboard. I haven't started it yet. It's gonna launch tomorrow. Today I just wanted to tell everybody about it, just because I want people to have a chance to like think about what tier they're gonna sign up for, if they are gonna sign up for. I think I put a little bit too much. It's okay. Is that gonna go? God, this hairspray smells so bad. I don't want it to look too fucking greasy. So I'm just like very focused on perfecting these bangs. Bangs are my arch nemesis when it comes to styling. Oh, I'm the reason you got it. Well, sheesh. Yeah, Kickstarter starts tomorrow. And then I'm going to be doing a like Kickstarter launch stream. I'm not sure. I'll probably do it before Neb's vet appointment. Because I don't know how long it's going to take for her vet appointment. And I want to be able to relax after. Probably should have styled this on my own goddamn head, because now it's getting crazy. All these extra flyaways. Where did you come from? Okay. Okay. Just gonna go in here. Why won't you stay? Probably should have used a gel instead of a spray for this. What if I just... At this point I might as well fucking use glue. Yeah, I don't even have hair gel. I'm not a hair gel person. Yeah, I'll definitely post it on Discord, the link and everything. Okay, please stay. Are you gonna stay? Do I have hair gel? I have hair grease, but not gel. I wonder if I use lash glue, if I will fuck up this wig. This is what it looks like right now. So what I'm going for is like a little pompadour kind of moment. I might need to use some heat on it. Oh my god, I forgot about the hot glue gun. Y'all. Okay. Okay, I think she's cute. Might should have used a hair curler. There we go. Okay, let me just see if I can put this on my head and if it looks okay. Woo. I'm not putting it on properly. I'm just trying to. God, my hair. Ugh. Okay. What in the freaking world? What is this? What is this? Okay, let me see if this actually worked. It's not even, but like it's impossible to make it even with the products that I have. I gotta tease it up a bit there too. Okay. Digging it. Yo! Yes, I did. I saw you on Reddit the other day. So this is kind of the look that we're going for. What do you guys think? What do you think? I know it's not even. It's almost even though. Nobody will know. How would they know? I'm just a little baby wig stylist. I don't know how to do pompadours, okay? I looked up so many tutorials and they make it look so easy, but I don't know what I did wrong. It's also the wig's not on properly, so that could be it. But and like I tried. Anyways, okay, let's finish these devil horns before. Oh, I gotta put this on another big holder. Yo, Sinistery! Thank you so much for the prime. Alright, so let's get these on a wig holder. And then we're gonna finish these bad boys. Ugh. Battle Knight! Yo, thank you for the 273. Wait, was there a message with that? If there was, I missed it. My headphones aren't on right now. Okay. Stay. Where are my headphones? Yeah, so I did finish the album. It's completely done. Is my music still going? Oh, it's just quiet. Let me turn it up a bit. Yeah, the album is done. No, this is my older album. So the new album isn't out yet. It's coming out June 24th. Because, you know, when the album's done, it takes about, 4 to 6 weeks for it to be available in stores and stuff. So, let me just readjust this bad boy. Ow! Fuck. Such a klutz. Alright. Yeah, so it's done now, and I'm gonna be uploading it on Sunday. Ooh, we gotta pin this down. Okay. On Sunday, we're going to be doing all of the actual uploading process and submitting it to stores, and then the Kickstarter launches tomorrow, and that is gonna be going on throughout May and June. So, lots of exciting things. I made this out of pipe cleaners, paper towel, and blood, sweat, and tears. 1,300! Oh my goodness. We breaking records out here. Okay. Glue gun. Oh. Keep your fingers on the klutz button, because it's about to get a whole lot klutzier in here. I'm gonna hot glue myself to myself. It's gonna be a time. Ow. Ow. Beauty is pain. Say it with me, chat. Beauty is pain. Oh my god. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Let me wrap it around. A little more glue. Swing. Boop. Yeah. But yeah, we are listening to my music, if that's what you were curious about. Just not the, just not the latest album. This is the older album. But it's the same producer. Oh, this looks so sick. I'm so glad I did this. With the ribbon. Because I think the pipe cleaner is a cool look, but it definitely does look kitschy. And we're trying to look scary, not kitschy. We're not trying to look like a freaking kid's toy. Okay, work. This works. Did I cut this in half? Wait, where's the other half? Did you guys remember me cutting it in half? Ah, yes. There's the other half. I was so scared. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna run out of ribbon. I literally had... So all of this stuff I had in my craft box already, pretty much, except for the headband. I couldn't find any headband, so I bought one from the dollar store for $2. And then just pipe cleaners, wire, paper towel, and like creativity. This is powered by creativity, mostly. And hot glue, of course. Like, you can't have crafts without hot glue. Cool. Now how should I end it? I should probably just single wrap. Okay. Don't burn yourself. Don't burn yourself. Come on. That's why you're always in pain. You're just so beautiful. Exactly. That is the one single reason. The chronic pain people are the prettiest, for sure. New song. Oh. God damn it. Can we get a klutz in the chat? Why? Why is this glue gun giving me heck? Stop giving me heck. Just work. Work like you're supposed to. No. I didn't have to. God damn it. Why? There we go. Oh, and I got some on my desk. This is fine. It's not on the keyboard. We're fine. We are fine. Like aged wine. Ooh, I want wine now. Is it wine o'clock? Chat, what time is it? Is it wine o'clock yet? Oh, there we go. And then we peel away the little stringy boys. I think this is, and they're adjustable too because they're wire based. And you can see, oh God, that's so cool. You can see a little bit of like the red underneath. Just a little bit. So, you guys should have seen what it looked like before. I was like, how is this gonna turn into something that I can actually wear for a music video? Where's my phone? This ultra modern glue gun works by using your chin to push it through. You've never used an easier glue gun. Exactly. Here, let me find the pictures. Also gives you cool little finger sluffies. Whatever you want to call them. I posted this on Instagram, but yeah, this is what it started as. Hold on. Rotate. This is what it started as. So it was like literally a headband. And I don't want you to see my camera roll. I don't know what's on there. And then I put pipe cleaners. So it started off. Letitia! Thank you so much. Aww. I'm going to finish explaining this after I read that message. Continuing assessment of work-life balance and many successes. Thank you. Aw, just wait till you hear the album. Y'all, everybody's gonna cry so hard, they're gonna run out of tears. And then they'll be better because they won't be able to cry. Because they've already cried and felt all their feelings. Anyways, yeah, so it started off with literally pipe cleaners and duct tape. Then I was like, okay, I need to fill them in. So then I used literally paper towel because I had no newspaper. But paper towel actually worked better. And then I wrapped it in wire. And then that's kind of that was the next step. That's what it looked like next. How cool is that? I just wrapped it in enough pipe cleaners that it was bendable, and then I put tape on top. And now it looks like this. Like, talk about using your imagination, man. Can't find anything like this online. Just make it yourself. But unlike most people, I should say, I have a big old box of craft supplies. I have everything from like paper feathers and not paper feathers. Paper flowers, feathers, like random butterflies, like you name it, I have it. Beads. I have beads for making jewelry, beads for rave bracelets, beads for macrame. It's kind of an addiction. It's a little bit maybe potentially one might say unhealthy, but I think my ADHD pals can probably relate. It's just like craft supply addiction. Once you start, you can't stop. Like, but I might use it someday. But someday, maybe not today, probably not next month, but like someday, I'm gonna want to use these Moroccan bead strings. I don't know. That's why I just don't start. That's very big brain energy there, Veld. Just don't start. If you just don't have hobbies, then you'll never go broke spending money on hobbies that you will spend an hour on and then forget about and neglect for a completely new interest. Ow! Fuck! She bit me! She bit me again! Okay. Just trying to make sure they're even. I might put on a different playlist of Twitch streamers today. I really don't want the video to get muted so that I can leave it up so that people who missed it will see the announcements and stuff. So Veld, if you're still here, if you'd be able to mute the $50 and $100 alerts for today, that would be flippin' sweet, just in case. I think the Giphy bots are mostly okay. Thank you. Yo, Southpaw! Welcome back to the Stram. Happy 16 months. Only thing you have is duct tape. Yeah, you can make anything with duct tape. It's like the professional toolkit. All you need is WD-40 and duct tape. If it's stuck, WD-40. If it won't stuck, but it's supposed to be stuck, duct tape. And probably a hammer or something. Ow! I love hot glue. It's so great. It's like duct tape, but see-through. And also it hurts you. But that's okay, because we like a little pain. I mean, like, I'm literally making devil horns. This is almost like a BDSM cosplay. In a way. Come on! Go! Ow! Oh, shoot. The back of it looks kind of shitty, but let's face it, nobody's looking at the back of my horns. And if they are, what are you doing back there? Get away. Beauty. Just gluing myself into this freaking headpiece. Okay, we're done with the ribbons. I was gonna add like little bells, but alerts us up. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that works too. I think this looks really cool. I'll put on proper lighting, but we're gonna do the, oh God, the fingers. I might try and do this fast. So if I can just, I wrapped them around to see what it would look like, but this isn't glued on yet. Actually, if I just put a little bit of glue there, that should stay in place. Okay. Dynamite? What do you need dynamite in your toolkit for? What are you blowing up? Should I be concerned? Okay, move fast, move fast, move fast. Oh my God, my computer's so loud. It's like trying so desperately to cool itself off. Okay. Got a little crissy-crossy. Yeah, because we reached the beginning of my playlist again. So let's find some fun DMCA-free. I know, it's an oxymoron. Fun DMC-free music to listen to. Because even the lo-fi, I was surprised. The lo-fi music that I was listening to got flagged. I was like, what? Are you serious? Are you kidding me? Okay, let's just glue the bottom just a little bit. There goes your heart. You working on a project? Just taking a break. Yes, I love taking a break with Twitch, but then it ends up being like a 17-hour break. So I'm glad that you have the self-control that I lack so that you can go get stuff done. But yeah, guys, check out Fish in a Birdcage. He does like loops and stuff on cello. And apparently he's also famous on Reddit now. You showed up on my front page with like 15,000 viewers. I know Reddit's like weird for live streaming. I don't know how that world works, but yeah, it was super chill. Okay. Whoop. Does anybody have any suggestions for like DMCA safe music that I could play? Crap, I don't want the glue to show. You can follow someone just by clicking on their name. They finally did that? Oh my god, we've been asking for this for years, and they finally did that? How did I do this on the other one? I think I just did the one. Okay. Alright. We're almost done! Oh my god. And then we get to do makeup. I'm so excited to show you guys my makeup skills. Ow! Ow! I put my finger right in it! God damn it. The song sounds so much better in stereo. Okay, one more glue. This is the longest vamp of any song ever, and I'm here for it. Okay. Schizzos. Schizzos. Okay. I'm gonna look at chat in a second. If I don't focus for at least 2 minutes, nothing will get done. Okay, I'm covered in glue. Now I can catch up on chat. Are we talking about classical? I love classical music. What are you talking about? I freaking love classical. Honestly though, I actually did get a copyright strike. Not just like a muted VOD, but I got a copyright strike for singing opera because they thought I was a famous opera singer. They mistook my audio for a famous opera singer and it got flagged. And I'm like, no, it's literally a MIDI keyboard program to play the song while I sing. So yeah, that was flattering. But also like, I was like, you can see in the video that I'm using like a free YouTube karaoke MIDI keyboard and I'm singing along to it. Like, no, it was like a strike. Yeah. But I refuted it and they took it back. I'm pretty sure it was a strike. Maybe I'm misremembering. I'd never know, but could have been both. But right now the one strike I have was for a cover of Zombie, I think. And I don't know where they found it because this was after I had deleted all my shit. So, I don't know. Je ne sais pas. Okay, let's unplug this bad boy before it bites me again. So we're done the wig, we're done the horns. Now it's time for makeup. Hair and makeup. I'm probably gonna do braids to make the wig process easier. But this means I have to turn on the damn light now. Okay, we're gonna put Veronica in the corner so you guys can still admire her from afar. Yeah, Twitch rules have been more and more whack. Veronica opened the door. Did someone knock? Can you do heavy metal screams? No. Nope. I cannot. I can do like raspy singing. Like I can do like what AC/DC does. But I can't do metal screams. I don't have the vocal cords for it. And that's really it. It's like you either can do it or you can't. It's just like polyphonic singing. Like some people just don't have the throat for it, you know? You know what? I think it's gonna work. I think it's gonna work. I'm happy with it. Can I buy anything? I don't, excuse me, I don't really have financial rewards for channel points. I thought that was illegal or something. Like you're not supposed to give away stuff first, but I don't know. But it is, yeah, okay. So, but that's the other thing too, is like channel points. I want to be able to like give something that I can do on stream. That's the whole point of channel points. Is like you redeem it and I do it immediately after. Because if we start doing shipping, then it's just too much for me to keep track of. Like if it's like unlock a sticker pack or something. Yo, Dave is here? You lost the game. Which game? Baseball, soccer, hockey, football, pinball. He's a pinball wizard. There has to be a twist. A pinball wizard's got such a supple wrist. Chess. Definitely chess. But check it. I can still kind of mold the horns a little bit as well to make them more... Like, I was inspired by my own tattoo. I wanted them to look like this. But only so much you can do with duct tape and pipe cleaners. So, all right, makeup time. Let's do my hair. Let's just Google Twitch DMCA free. I hope this doesn't flag me. We'll see. You do the channel point redemption right after it's redeemed? Bro, I'm coming for you. Okay.
Meow, 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 meow,
Oh.
meow, 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 meow,
I will not perform an encore. Thank you, thank you. Alright, I'm gonna have to brush my hair. This is gonna be... I don't know what I'm... Like, how do I put this in braids? How? It's gonna get frizzier. Thanks for the memories. If you did have that many points, which I don't think you do, but if you did, because you're a bad friend. You're not a bad friend. You just have like 500 jobs. Good to know. Good to know, Vel. Yeah, I need to come up with more channel point redemptions. I think. Like, again, once the Kickstarter's launched and, like, I can kind of get back into a groove again and focus on literally anything else, I am gonna make, like, a soundboard so people can, like, cheer points to redeem, like, soundboard stuff, like claps or laughter or, like, pew pew. But I don't know how to do that. And I also want to make sure that it's not too loud or too distracting. But let's face it, it is gonna be distracting. Because I am distracted by everything. So... Like, I love how my hair looks now. Like, this is just kind of how it is. I wake up with hair like this. But when I brush it, it just looks floof. 587,000? How? Streamlabs chatbot? I don't use Streamlabs. Oops, sorry. I use Stream Elements. Would it be possible with Stream Elements? And it's channel points. Like, I use OBS and Stream Elements. I don't really use Streamlabs anymore. I also have to fix the closed captions. Ice Cream actually sent me all the info I needed for the closed captions. I just didn't actually go through with it. Prevon! How are you? Happy 5 months. Welcome back. There's a lot of the album supporters in here. All of y'all's, like, not all of y'all's, but a lot of you have your name in the credits. Excited. Totally separate from slobs? Okay. Well, then I'll definitely look into that. I still have, like, an account with them, I think. Oh my gosh. I am so excited to wash my hair, but... So here's, like... I'm kind of ashamed to admit this, but I have been procrastinating on buying conditioner because I need a special conditioner, and I have to go to a special store for my hair. Yo, Em! How are you? So I've been procrastinating on washing my hair just because I don't have my conditioner. It's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks now. But hey, dry shampoo is lit. Dry shampoo is everything. Welcome to my desk. You guys get to look at my stream deck. Okay. Special curly hair shampoo, right? My hair is like frizzy and greasy at the same time. I don't understand. It defies the laws of physics. Okay. Aloha Bagheera. Welcome, welcome. Also, thank you for the tier 2 sub for 7 whole months. Emma helps me edit the Kickstarter. And the Kickstarter goes live tomorrow, by the way. If you just got here, we've got the full album coming out on vinyl, USB, and CD. And I'm very excited to hopefully reach the goal so that we can do physical production of the album. I know we live in such a digital world where everything is all streaming services and online and YouTube and TikTok and stuff, but I think there's a lot of value to having physical like works of art. See, that's the thing, because it's not just the music you're buying, it's also the art that comes along with it and the concept and the vision. And that for me is like why this whole Kickstarter is so important to me. Oh, you guys can't even really see what I'm doing. What? Oh my goodness. Unfortunately we're not doing song dances today, but I can give you an IOU. Pre-Bon! What the heck? What the heck? You're ridiculous. Thank you so much for completing our goal. You did the maths. You did the maths perfectly. Oh my gosh. 4,000 IQ points. Yes. Don't you just want to push my stream deck button? I can't. I might give people seizures. Pre-Bod! I owe you a dance. I owe you a dance. Here, I'm gonna fix the camera angle, but I can't let my hands leave my hair because then it will fall apart. Okay. Almost there. And this is the easy part. I really want to learn how to do fishtail braids. How have you been? You can just lurk too if you want. I try to engage, but also I know some people just like lurking, so. Oh, that is so much. Thank you so much. It helps, like, right now, financially, mentally, emotionally. I'm alive. You know? So thank you so much. It's been a time. I've been trying, so this is my life right now. I've been trying to switch my car insurance plan for 4 months. and it keeps going up every month. And I have been sending emails literally since like a month after I got it, being like, hello, I would like to switch insurance plans. This is too expensive. It's $400 a month. $400 a month for car insurance. And I have 0 accidents, 0 tickets, whatever, like nothing. It's my first car though, but $400 seems a little bit much. It's insane. And I got it because it was the only insurance plan that was available on a month-to-month basis. So my goal was like, I'm going to get this, and then my insurance is going to go down, and I'm going to get better offers, and I'll cancel after a month. And then I can do some shopping during that month. And yeah, so I've had 2 different insurance brokers, and they've been ghosting me and dodging me for like months now. And I'm like, I'm going to like go do this myself. Like, teach me how to be an insurance broker. Well, that's it. I don't use it for commuting. I've literally, in 4 months, I've put less than 2,000 kilometers on it. In 4 months. Less than 2,000 kilometers. Like, that's so low. So, we don't have comparison websites. No. So that's the thing, is like, I can't arrange. I've been trying to arrange it online, like, through email. But I don't know, like, I guess I could go directly to my insurance provider, like the company itself, instead of going through a broker. But like, I don't understand insurance talk. I need somebody to like be the middleman and explain the language to me. Cause like, I don't know what any of the things mean. I know deductible, that's like how much money they take out before you have to pay stuff or something. Like, but yeah, no, Canada's fucked for like 3 things: insurance, phone plans, and internet plans. Our phone plans are just insane. Like, there's no such thing as unlimited here. With the maximum you can have is like, I think like 20 gigs or something. And it's like $100 a month for a plan like that. I remember when I went to the UK to visit like Expired and Valve and Cheeky Chalky and like do the Twitch London thing. Like, Expire would just let me use all his data for streaming from the mobile. And he was like, yeah, it costs me like $10 a month, it's fine. I'm like, what? Are you serious? Is Expired still here, by the way? Expired, you'll be happy to know that I made an option to order 10 CDs at once. So if you want all the CDs, there's an option for you. Okay, wait, what am I doing? What? Okay, there we go. It took 10 to 15 years to get there. I mean, in Canada it's like a monopoly, I think. Like, but it's not at the same time. Like, we have like so many different phone providers, but they're all owned by the same 2 big companies, which is Bell and Rogers. In the US, they just flat out lie and say it's unlimited. Exactly. US and Canada are pretty similar. They make a bunch of better pricing tiers and then they just don't tell you about them. Sounds about right. Well, I'm also like, I'm gonna need to upgrade my internet plan soon, because with Andy being like full-time content creator now, it can interfere with the stream when we both have stuff we have to do at the same time. Doesn't usually affect it, but look at the hair. So cute, so slick. All right. I'm gonna, actually, you know what? It's pretty, how do I not have any flyaways right now? That's crazy. Derpy Unicorn, welcome on in, fellow unicorn friend. Okay, I need, oh my god, this was full of ice when I started. There is no more ice available. What's FTTH? What is that? I'm very curious. Okay, now that my hair is all up and stuff, I can put... Can we get a klutz in the chat, please? Fiber to the house. I don't think we have that ability. Like, we have underground cables where I am. And, like, I don't think we have the option. I think I asked about that. I was like, fiber, please. They're like, no, you don't have the option because you have a telephone jack thing, whatever those are. I think my house is from the 60s, so. Alright, let's get into this. So, should I put in the contacts first? Like, I think I should probably put in the contacts first before starting the makeup. Does anybody else watch body paint streamers? Do they put their contacts in first or last? I'm just afraid if I'm, like, doing it and, like, trying to get it in, I'm just gonna, like, cry off all my makeup. Hogs from Brazil, welcome on in. We're just about to get some makeup started. Doing a cool look for this little number that I have here. Last. That makes sense because you can see better, but I'm just worried that I'm gonna mess it up. Last is asking for trouble. So I'm hearing very different things from chat. Okay. I might do them first just because then I get it over with and I don't have to cry. Last you've seen more as well. Okay, last. Okay, we'll do it last then. I'm just gonna have to try to. I haven't put contacts in ages, so I don't really know. Just don't cry. Yeah, easy. Just don't cry. All right, we're gonna grab some makeup stuff. Oh, damn it! You stay. You better stay on me. I'm worried about that. I'm worried they might fall off my head. What am I doing for the eyes? I already have that over here. Oh, it's spicy. So spicy. One eye now, the other at the end. That will trigger so many OCD people in here. But then again, I really like the one eye contact look. It's kind of a mood. Like the split eyes thing. Definitely a mood. Here for now. Cute! So cute. Now I can listen to the music again. So I can actually hear what you guys are hearing. This looks ridiculous right now. This looks absolutely ridiculous. Hi Hazel, by the way. Halfway through sounds probably like the best option. My skin is kind of dry. I'm going to do a little bit of moisturizing before we start. Great idea. Oh my god. I'm so excited to put the contacts in. It's been so long. But now that I have the contacts, I can finally do the Jinx cosplay. Finally. The Jinx cosplay that I said I was going to do. Remember when we were sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends? That cosplay. I have to fix up the wig too, though. It's just like so much work when you've closeted your cosplay for so long, and you can't use the contacts. Contacts have like a 90-day expiry. You hit 13k scales. Wow. Welcome back. Might as well moisturize you too. Oh, the sun has been so intense. I'm like flaking, even with sunscreen. Just burning me to a crisp. You went on a trip? Oh yeah, you went to... I'm not gonna say it out loud, but you went to that place that we were talking about. Alright, so I guess I should treat this as a tutorial for anybody who's actually watching for the sake of, I mean, I could probably put the dono goal off now that we've filled it. Ah! Sub goal. There we go. It's not a secret. Okay, I wasn't sure. So first things first, I have a very red toned face. I know it looks great in this lighting, but my face is actually quite red, and I do have blemishes. So I start off with the Makeup Forever color corrector. This is basically a primer, but it's green. So what this does is it evens out my skin tone, and that way when I put stuff on top of it, it looks like the actual color that it's supposed to be. Actually, I should do like a side-by-side comparison. So the cool thing about green is it's the opposite of pink. So when you put green on top of pink, it just kind of cancels each other. So redness corrected. Except for this one pimple, which I'm gonna just have to deal with for the music video. It's crazy, right? Crazy witchcraft. Absolute witchcraft. Hi, Citric! Did you just get here? Welcome to the Stram. We already talked about the Kickstarter announcement, but just for those of you who just got here, my album is finally done. And we're doing a Kickstarter trying to raise 7,000 bucks so that we can publish it on CDs, vinyls, and USBs. And I really hope we reach our goal, because how cool would it be to have an album on vinyl? Like, that would just be next level. Absolutely next level. Okay. So we're gonna let that set in. And I usually start with my eyes. Definitely going in for a vinyl. Hell yes. Hell yes. So also very moist right now. Very moist, very greasy. I don't have a setting powder, so I'm gonna just be shiny today, I guess. Oh right, I need my makeup sponge. I have a powder, but it's not the right shade. Do you guys think I should do crazy lashes? I guess we'll see by the end of the look whether it's gonna need lashes or not. Social life is interfering with my Lurk and Merm stream an hour before it starts. That's good though. Social lives are fun. Like, do you know how hard it is to make friends as an adult? Pretty tricky, especially because everyone's working, everyone's busy, everyone's got different hobbies. A lot of people have kids now. Like, what's up with that? Actual children. So my social life is, I try to have a social life, but it's either my friends are workaholics and get money and get paid, or they have kids and they're struggling with keeping up with kids. So I'm at that age now. I love NARS. This like foundation, it's stupid good. Like, not only is it the perfect match for me, but it goes on so smooth. Like, it's not cakey, it just looks like my skin. It's better than my skin. It's better than my skin, honestly. Center, thank you for the 252. Psilocybin retreat. You got this. You got this. Here, I'm here to fulfill your vision. You've got this. You've absolutely got this. You can do anything you set your mind to, except for fly. But even though you can't fly, you can get in a plane that flies. So there's a way to work around for everything. Why are the two pimples? Like, I have like the two perfect like Pikachu pimples right now. I should be cosplaying Pikachu with these two. They're just like the exact same side of my face. How does this happen? But yeah, I feel pretty fortunate that I have as many friends as I do at this age, but like I feel like part of it is because I was a musician. And as a musician, it's all about making connections and all about who you know. So when I first started getting into, you know, the open mic scene, the bar scene, I was meeting new people every night. And you get better at making friends the more you do it. But then also working as a server, it's probably mask knee. You're right. Fucking mask knee, man. God. I avoid COVID, but at what cost? Cost of my beautiful skin. Okay, what do I want to do to the eyes? I kind of want to do what I did for the last stream with like the kind of wing back eyeliner. The playlist is actually not bad, but I swear to God, if I get muted, it says it's DMCA free. You never know though. I'm just happy it's not the regular that shit. I'm getting more and more friends, but pretty much not live in the Netherlands. That's the other thing. Oh, my heart. My bestie Wax lives so far away. Sam lives so far away. I've got all my friends like from Twitch too that are like forever away. But hey, we got Discord, we got all sorts of voice chat, messaging methods. Should probably be doing makeup on this side because the lighting is better. Oh yeah, that's way more even. Okay, now I can see what I'm doing. Okay, let's go in with my gothy palette. I mean, I want to see what the Netherlands are like. I want to see what the whole world is like. I'm just afraid to travel right now. But, I don't know. So, I know a lot of you guys are going to TwitchCon in, is it in the Netherlands? Where is it? It's got a little, tulip. Amsterdam. But Amsterdam is not in Germany. I learned that last year. I don't remember where it is, though. So Amsterdam is in the Netherlands? Merms is geographically challenged, okay? It's in Norway. Okay, I get them mixed up because they both start with N's. My bad. Which is in Africa. Wait, is it actually in Norway? Now I'm confused. Dedu lies to me so much. I don't know why I ever trust him. It works every time. Wait, so is it in Norway or is it in the Netherlands? I'm not stupid, okay? I swear, I was never taught geography in school. Ever. It doesn't exist in my brain, okay? Why is this color not really showing up? Netherlands was offering employment. What? Oh, before the pandemic hit? That's interesting. I don't think I could ever move anywhere now at this point. I was going to be moving to LA. Because I fell in love with LA and I fell in love with a person in LA and, you know, all my good friends were there, the friends that I made from Twitch. But then the pandemic happened and everybody moved away and LA just got too pricey to live in. So I'm kind of stuck in Ottawa. But also I'm so rooted now. Like I am rooted in my home here. I have so much stuff I would have to get rid of or put in storage. I'm like, all the instruments I have could never work. New Zealand was paying people to fly there if they took an IT job interview. Ooh. I wish, I'm like, damn, why did I go into the sciences? If I went into programming, I could make so much money. It's so lucrative. And I only know that because so many people on Twitch that I've met are all like programmers. Software developers, programmers, IT, website design, stuff like that. Why are these colors so not matching? And for once, the left eye looks better than the right eye. Okay. Where's my light? There's my light. I mean, if I was getting paid to move to a different place, it might be a different story. Because then they would pay for all my stuff to be shipped there. And let's face it, I get a lot of stuff. Like, I need my own private jet, please. Like, just for me. I don't want to sit next to nobody. See if this is a really cool color. So I got this palette at Hot Topic for like $10. It's like all these nice warm brown tones, which works really well with my eyes and my skin tone. Because blue eyes always look best with orange and browns and warm tones. Technically my eyes are green, blue, and gray, but like if I want to bring out the blue. Oh, I didn't even think about that. I'm wearing red eye contacts. You know what? It'll probably still work. We'll see. I might color correct and make it more gray. Okay. And then, where's my sparkles? Check my whisper. I will check it when I'm not busy, for sure. Yeah, I try not to check whispers while I'm live. That's kind of my rule here. It's definitely, yeah, it's nothing personal, but I just, especially because I'm in the middle of doing my makeup. Oh wow, that blends really nicely. Oh, crap. This playlist, like, actually goes hard. Like, what the heck? I was half expecting it to be, like, indie rock, but it's more like emo heavy rock. This hurts me. Why does this hurt so much? Okay, wait. That's pretty even. Okay, let's go in with the eyeliner. This is on Spotify. It says specifically like Twitch DMCA free, but I don't know. You never know. You never know. I don't even know if there's anything that's DMCA free anymore, to be honest. So, ooh. What's up, Momo-san? I feel like it's quiet enough in the background with me talking that I hopefully won't get muted. Look how, like, my eyebrows are so gorgeous without anything on them. Like, how did I luck out? I used to overpluck and somehow they grew back. This one's kind of still getting there, but this one? That's like no makeup. My eyebrows just look like that. Like, that's stupid. Okay. So, let's do eyeliner first, actually. So I'm gonna make this face at you for a while, but don't worry, I'm not plotting anything. It's just I need to line it up. Okay. Okay, see? So when I do like this, it's like, but when I'm like this, it's like, because hooded eyes are fun. They're so hard to paint. I never knew how to do eyeliner with them, and now there's like Instagram people that are popping up on my feed that are like teaching me all these makeup hacks that I'm like, I wish I had this in high school. But no. The only social media we had in high school is MySpace. Okay, I gotta use the big side so I can see. Oh, there's chat. Say hi, chat. Say hi to yourself. Do you guys have any like actual DMCA free playlists, like that you know for sure DMCA free? Hi, chat. MySpace, yeah. Are you guys too young to know about MySpace? Like Instagram, it wasn't the 90s, it was the 2000s. It was like definitely 2000s. This girl's voice sounds so much. Wait, is it a girl or a guy? By colorblind. I was gonna say this sounds a lot like Lauren Babbitt's voice. If it's actually Lauren Babbitt, I'm gonna flip. MySpace was like Facebook, but you could set your own custom music, you could set your own custom background, you could like add people that you didn't really know, but just because they were like your style. There was a lot of emo culture and scene, like that's where like scene kind of came from, was like the MySpace era. So you could like follow, actually I like this one better. What the hell did I do? So yeah, my name was like Alana Aesthetic. Like aesthetic, but also anesthetic and Alana, all in one word, because I was such a genius at 13 years old. Actually, I like that so much better. Why don't I just do my eyes like that? Maybe not. Okay. Nope, I did it wrong. How the crap did I do it the other day? I'm gonna look up a picture. When he pitches up his voice. I love that too, like pitching up my voice and playing with it. Or pitching down my voice. Okay, wait. So I did... Oh... This is the eyes that I did the other day that I'm trying to... How? How did I mess this up so bad? Okay, let me get a Q-tip. It is at least like 3 degrees hotter in my stream room than it is in the rest of them. My room always looks different. Yeah, that checks out. It's like a mobile kind of setup. I set it up however I need it for my stream that day in particular. Okay, we'll wait for this to dry. I'm gonna see if I can recover from this tragedy on this eye. Okay, so. Can you see my face? Wow, you can't even see the mirror from this angle. That's cool. That's more what I was going for. It's like a little double tail almost. So I just need to fix the other guy. This is not it. This is it. This is not it. What's the ICQ? That sounds like that's before my time. I had MSN Messenger. Oh my god. Hello? What? Okay, wait. We just need to... Oh! Fuck. It was pager based. Oh my god. The only reason I know about pagers is because of the one freaking, was it Destiny's Child or TLC? I think it was Destiny's Child. They're like, don't page me. Don't call me, don't page me. Oh my god, and Palm Pilots were a thing? Palm Pilots? It was like, they had the concept for a phone. It was just 7 different things that you had to buy to put together that would be like what a phone is. Like you need a Game Boy for the games, a pager for the messaging, a Palm Pilot for all your calendar stuff and taking notes, a camera for taking pictures. Now it's all in one. It's like everything you need, one thing. I had a Palm Pilot too. I don't think I should have. I was definitely too young for that level of responsibility, but... Okay. I can't even tell if this is good or not. I'm like really glad I didn't put the contacts in so far because my vision's already terrible. I actually kind of like it. It just feels a little weird with the underline. Because this one actually kind of comes up more. Okay, well, we're gonna... Fuck. Why am I licking it? I have makeup remover. Okay. Eyeliner is my arch nemesis, and anybody who says they're good at eyeliner is lying to you. It's just not possible. Okay. And now we redo everything. Yeah. That's my gold boy. And then... Okay. Going back in. I fixed it good. Thank you, thank you. We're gonna try and resurrect it. We'll see if it actually works. Okay. crap. I made it too thick. Oh, I made the same mistake. Pretty close. I think that's as close as we're gonna get it. Okay. All right, chat. What do we think? The metaverse? I don't even want to go there. It looks better in person. I don't know why I feel like it's such shit on camera. Could be the angle, yeah. It's also my eyes are not even, so that's something that I have to consider. They look so different. They're so different. Okay. But how? Oh my god, we're gonna be at this for ages before I get it the way that I want. This is why I don't do makeup. It's never good enough. Never ever. Okay. I think it's just that corner, that little spot.
Take a deep breath and let's start again. Every day ends to begin. Take a deep breath.
Okay.
And let's start again. Every day.
It's just wet right now. Album done! Yes, it is completely done. And I'm doing a music video tonight, so I'm doing my makeup for it. And I want to look like sexy but creepy. But then I'm gonna go, so we're doing two characters. So the first one we're gonna see on stream. The second one I'm gonna get fucking mental with. And that one's not gonna be on stream, I don't think. Because I have to film the first one first. I mean, that's how it works, right? So yeah, I'm excited. Yes! So the second look's gonna be even more creepy. I'm possibly gonna get like fake blood. And we're gonna go with a little bit of body paint. I'm not sure how I want to do it. I don't think I'm gonna do like a skull or anything, but I definitely do want to like make it gothified. So pale white skin and like dark circles around the eyes. Basically, it's gonna be like me, and then it's gonna be like sleep paralysis demon. That's like the idea I have in mind. But I do need to shade in my eyebrows because I'm wearing a black wig. So this is gonna look weird because I have blonde hair, but we do kind of need to match the wig, so. Let me zoom back in for y'all's. Creepy sexy, yeah, my favorite genre. creepy and sexy. All of the above. Okay. The one thing I do love about makeup, I will say, is that it's basically like painting a picture and your face is the canvas. I love that part about it. Who's texting me? Oh my god, it's so hot in here. Gorge. Super gorge. Mega gorge. Gorge, fab gorge. Okay. Thanks for being here with me, by the way, everybody. I know I'm not doing music yet, but I will be switching over and playing some songs at the end of the stream once I'm already all made up and have my contacts in. I pluck my eyebrows. Look at this. Look at those little scraggly hairs. You're enjoying this? Awesome. I'm glad. I don't really do my makeup on camera because it makes it a bit trickier. Because it's the artificial lighting versus fake lighting makes such a difference. But I've done my eyebrows on camera a few times. And I think I've done my makeup twice. We also had a body paint stream with Andy the Frenchie on Halloween. That was fun. That was ridiculously fun. I don't know if we have any clips handy for that, but I've never felt more creepy than with the cat piano body paint. This is a 10. This is like a 7. What is going on? We have an emote from it though. But yeah, I want the video to just like, it's just kind of a, I'm just thinking about my eyebrows. It's like a placeholder until we can get a full high budget video, because I think having a video on YouTube, even if it's just like a lyric, like $0 budget thing, is better than not having it, because then people don't have a place to listen to your music if they don't have Spotify or iTunes or those kinds of things, you know? So if it's on YouTube, it's more accessible. And that way people can learn the lyrics and sing along and all that fun stuff. It's a bit too harsh. There we go. They still look blonde, like they don't look black, but it's better than... I don't want to draw them in too dark, because I do have really thick eyebrows. And I don't want to look like, you know, like I just got back from the salon getting my eyes dyed. Unlurk, welcome back from your unlurks. I need more ice. The freezer doesn't make ice fast enough. Oh, okay. Where should I? Let's do some purple. This, don't question it, just trust. The eyebrow zombie. What about the eyebrow zombie? I forget what I was talking about 2 seconds ago. I'm not gonna lie to you. Gonna get some. Oh no, we want this color. Oh yeah. Just to make it look like I'm a little deceased. Because I'm gonna get more deceased. Oh, and this color really. This color is so good for green eyes. So the orange is good for blue. Purple and magenta is good for green eyes. But again, I'm fucking wearing red contacts, so what does it make a difference for? I should be lining them with red, if anything. I keep forgetting. I love this color. This is the James Charles palette, and it's got every color I could ever want. Oh, I don't want to look like an eyebrows on. Yeah. I love my eyebrows though. I used to hate them. I would pluck them until they were little pencils, but now I'm like, you know what? They're pretty good. Pretty good. They do the job. They protect my eyeballs from sweat. Volley with the 25 months. Welcome back. Thank you so much. Okay. Am I happy with the eyes? Eh. They could be more intense, but I think it's okay. I'm actually going to do the lashes last. I should put the contacts in first before lashes. But our primer should be set now. And now we can do the rest of the face. Are we ready to see me paint face on my face? Oh yeah, we were talking about TwitchCon. Is anybody here going to the TwitchCon Europe? Like, you already got your tickets and everything and you're ready to go? Belle's gonna be there for sure. I mean, I feel like it's really easy and accessible for people in Europe to go because everything is like a train ride away, right? So right now I'm using a pink, creamy kind of cover-up foundation to conceal the crazy deep purple bags that I can never get rid of, no matter how much I sleep. And pink cancels out blue, so that's why we do that. And then I'm gonna go back over it with a highlighter to make it even brighter. What's money? I don't know her. Right? Well, that's it. Like, even if financially we made it a thing, I still think medically I wouldn't want to go. Just for the sake of, like, if I get COVID again, I can't afford to get COVID. Mentally, physically, mostly financially. If I get COVID again, I'm le fucked. I am le fucked. So we don't want that. We don't want the COVIDs. Don't assume money's pronouns. I think with inanimate objects, it's okay. I still don't really know how this whole process works. I've just seen enough people do it on Instagram and TikTok that I just assume that I have to do it too. But back in the day, all it was is you took foundation, you put it on your fingers, and you rubbed it in your face, and that was it. And now we have to do this contouring bullshit. But yeah, the last two TwitchCons that I went to, I was singing on the main stage, and they were fucking phenomenal. And the best part was that my accommodations and my TwitchCon pass were free, because I was technically working, like, in the, well, not working, but I was part of the competition. So they, like, covered everything for me. And that's really freaking cool, and I wish they would do that. But then Twitch Sing stopped being a thing. So I had like a guaranteed spot if Twitch Sings was still a thing, because I would have to be there to give the award to the season 3 winner. Because I came second place season 1 and first place season 2. But Twitch Sings isn't a thing anymore, so sad me. Me is sad. I'm trying not to get my hair, but you can't really help it when you got blonde hair. It's just gonna look awful. Right, ready? And now we drip skin-colored liquid on top of our skin-colored skin to make it look beautiful. I don't usually wear this much makeup, by the way, but because it's a music video, I just want to make sure my skin's like super flat for the camera. And my skin is not going to be flat because I have so much acne. They did invite musicians. Yeah, and that's what makes me the saddest, is that I'm going to miss out on meeting all these new musicians. But I have gotten so incredibly sick for the past every TwitchCon. Like, really badly sick. The last time I had laryngitis, I had a sinus infection before coming to TwitchCon. And then, because I didn't get a chance to heal, and I was talking all day, every day, shouting in the bars, whatever. Oh god, I put on way too much foundation. My voice didn't heal for like weeks after the fact. So, I really don't want to do that again. Because I really do need my voice for everything that I do. I'm not a good enough, like full-time artist to be doing just art. Okay. And now we blend. Blend, blend, blend. Blend, blend, blend. My forehead's gonna be mostly covered anyway, so I don't know why I'm fussing over it so much, but... Okay. I think I made that too low. I can't see with this lighting. What? I know that's pretty good. Pretty good. Because the lower you put it, the more kind of skeletal you look like, I think. Or is it the other way around? Is it the higher you put it? You got accommodations? Yeah, it's great when you can find people that like want to get a place with you or whatever, and you can split on a big B&B. Like that's the way to go, for sure. But yeah, no, it's too soon, too late, too little, too late kind of thing for me. Like I had been recovering from COVID for an entire month, and then like I've lost all that income, and I'm still trying to catch up with like payments and stuff. So I'm like, it's not responsible for me to go, and I just, you know. I haven't been the same with crowds since COVID either. That's like one big thing I've noticed is like, I get so tired so quickly with crowds. I think I need more. I might just go in with a powder though. Yeah, I definitely need my own room too for all of the canoodling I'm going to be doing with all the hot Twitch babes. So I feel you on that. I also like, I can sleep on the floor too. Like I'm like a fancy bitch, but also I'll take what I can get at the same time. If I have the right amount of alcohol in my system, I can sleep anywhere. Like anywhere. Literally anywhere. Ugh. Gosh, my skin is so textured. Why? Okay. I might... do I want to do my signature, like, draggy cheeks? Or do I just want to... This is so not my shade. Why is it so warm? I need a cooler shade. Crap. Crap on a biscuit. Hotel chairs. I mean, no. Not hotel chairs. That's a little bit too sussy for me. Oh wait, this is my blender. Or is this my blender? They look the same! Because I want it to be almost gray. What if I just use... Shit. I mean, maybe if I blend this in, this might work. Is it gonna blend though? Is it gonna blend? It's not gonna blend. Oh god, what have I done? Now I just look like I got burnt. Casually burnt. Also, my lighting makes it look like it's even, but I'm gonna check like the daytime lighting. Excuse me. Wow. Actually, this works pretty well. I need to bring it in more onto my cheeks. You guys need to see this with like natural lighting. The lighting here is like, so it's not showing you the my true colors. Yeah, no, the music community is gonna be great. Wait, we had a hype train? We had a hype train? Did I not notice? And I'm really excited for all of you who are going. Like, I'm not being like, well, you know, you get to get fun. You get to have fun without me. It's like, yes, I understand. I am making the choice. And that's okay. There will be more TwitchCons. And I will be more prepared for the next TwitchCons because, you know, I'll be like a higher performer. Like, I would like to get paid to play at TwitchCon. That's a thing. I think that's fair. Oh, what the fuck? Why did the shade just suddenly turn gray on me? Ariel! Got a gift of stuff from Envoli. Let's go. Yeah, okay. It said on my Twitch page. I have my Twitch open on there. It's like, hi, Train. Come blue. I'm like, oh, really? What? Okay, I'm not gonna do this too extreme though. Like I usually do. Oh no! I'm muting it. I'm sorry. I'll sing it for you. Here in Duckburg, lights bursting from airplanes. It's a duck world. Signs are a mystery. We'll rewrite history. DuckTales. Woo! There. Now it's not gonna get muted. I hope. Oh, thank you so much for that biddies, Val. Thank you. Okay, I can't even tell at this point if it's even. Oh my god. Which side do I like? Do I like this side? This side? This side. This side. Oh my god. This is so hard to do on stream because my lighting is shit. Okay, don't touch face. Don't touch face. It's itchy. Okay. So I'll cover this. Okay, I'm just gonna put my thing here for a sec so I can see the actual color. Okay, we need more foundation. Just cover it up.
Done it. I'm from California. It's garbage. Stop jerking off and stop doing meth. Stop stealing and robbing people and being fucking idiots. Smoke weed, you dumb little shits. Learn how to drive a stick shift, make a fire, and go camping. Play frisbee on LSD outdoors. Stop bullshitting around with your stupid thumbs. Fuck your thumbs and fuck your bullshit.
I love that man. I love that man so much. What have I done? Why? Why did I try to use black fucking contour? Why was that my idea? Okay. It really does look smoky. I have to itch. Oh no. Oh no. Why did I itch my face? Thank you so much for the bit, Citric. Oh, look how wrinkly I'd look. Ugh. Ugh. Ooh. I need Botox. Gosh. See you later, Decor. Bye. Okay. Ooh. See, I look great as long as I don't smile. If I smile, then you can like see every single wrinkle. But I think that's part of just like life is the crow's feet. I think you just get those as soon as you turn 20 and then they just never go away. They get worse. Contour is magic. It still is magic. But it looks so different on stream than it does in person. I swear it looks better in person. Hold on. This is it's so much more of a challenge. Honestly, doing makeup on stream. I can do such a better job when I'm sitting in front of my window with perfect natural sunlight. But hey, we're making it work. I'm also super close to the camera, which doesn't help. Okay, ready for RuPaul, right? That's actually like where I get most of my makeup tips. Yeah, this side is way too dark, but I don't know what to do about it. That's the thing. A little bit more. Where did my bad boy go? There you are. Okay, and then we go back in. And we blend. And we blend. This is a change of playlist. Okay. Now I don't think I'm gonna do a blush with this look. But I think we gotta put the contacts in. This is also foreign to me. Yeah, it's foreign to me too. Honestly, the only thing that I know about makeup is stuff that I've learned from like 60-second videos on TikTok and Instagram and stuff. Okay, where's my mirror? Fuck. We're gonna do my blended lip. I'm just gonna grab a liner for it. Oh my god. Dropping stuff everywhere. Which liner to use? Whew. Yeah, if you're just getting here, the Kickstarter for my album, drops tomorrow, and that is going to be raising money to go towards putting the album on vinyl, CD, and USB. So the album itself is already done. It was an $18,000 project, and it's going to be dropping on June 24th. But let's face it, oh, this is not smallpox, that's a burn. But anyways, not to get too distracted. because the album was such an investment, streaming on Spotify doesn't really pay the artist very well. So by purchasing the album on like vinyls and CDs, it allows me to actually break even for the album. So that'd be really cool if you could support that. Okay, we're gonna do lips now. This is gonna be tricky.
And cry, baby, cry, knowing it's been a lie. I don't feel much, so I know I'm alright. And eye for an eye to get the feeling right.
This is the ASMR part because I can't even talk, so you just hear my lips clacking together. Oh, thank you for adding that command, Veld. Oh my gosh, I've just been so busy making the Kickstarter itself that I forgot to even make a command for it. Derp.
Losing sleep over what I can't keep. The grooves in my feet never cut quite as deep. I haven't grown, every day more alone. I've got habits and such bleeding me to the bone. Too busy chasing rhymes to be wasting
Playing straight bops today. I just put on DMCA Freight playlist, and it apparently is a bop playlist, but I don't know. They'll just saying a lot of the times the DMCA free playlists aren't actually DMCA free, so I guess we will find out after the stream. Isina here, hi! See, the thing is, if I just don't make the command in the first place, then it can't be wrong, right? Alright, let's get the black lipstick. Where did it go? It's on the ground. Okay, this is like literally the hardest part.
Too busy chasing rhymes to be a waste of time. Can't get it through my head, but I'm trying. Too busy chasing
Pro tip, don't eat your lipstick. This is how we do the ombre. It's really cool. You're so busy eating Tide Pods. That reminds me of a Reddit post I saw today. It was a Tinder conversation between a guy and obviously like a sex worker who was like, yeah, you can pay me $300 per date. And he's like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, sugar babies are pretty common these days. I was like, well, Tide Pods used to be pretty common, but you know. I think that's kind of bogus though. People using a dating website just to try and find clients. Like, I support sex work, but you know. Fuck. No talking. God. I keep fucking up every time I talk. It's to the point where if you're using Tinder now, you have to put like actually looking to date people in your bio. Really? Is it? Well then, by all means, keep it going. Maybe I should get on Tinder. See, cause like I want somebody to take me out for dinner, but I don't want to like suck their dick after. I just like, I think my company is enough, you know? I'm a pretty interesting person. I think people should just want to date me because they get to be around me. Like, that is my gift to you, is I exist and you get to be in my presence. So that's worth $100 steak dinner, in my opinion. But, you know. Crap, what the hell happened? This looks so fucking scuffed. Ice cream is still here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm half joking. I'm half joking. I just want to be spoiled. Don't we all, though? I think everybody wants to be spoiled. Well, how cool does that look, though? See? See? It all paid off. Ottawa's so far from Toronto? Wait, you were gonna come to Ottawa? God damn it. That's good to know, though, that the black lipstick stays on the teeth. Because I could do that for the sleep paralysis character. Just have blacked out teeth. Thank you. Oh, you're so sweet. I still need to clean up the lines, but I'm probably gonna mess up the lines when I start singing in a minute. Okay, and then we're gonna line it with, fuck, gotta clean up that one little dot. I sing too, yeah. I can also teach you a lot of things. I know a lot of things about a lot of stuff. You can hire me to be your personal tutor in exchange for steak dinner. You're spoiled enough as it is? I'm never spoiled enough. But that's just a neuroticism. Chat, the word of the day is neuroticism. Neuroticism means when you didn't have something when you were a kid, you will constantly crave it as an adult. For example, being neglected as a child leads to you wanting attention constantly as an adult. Not eating enough food as a kid may result in eating disorders as you grow older. Example number 3, not being spoiled enough. Well, here we are. But it's not that I don't feel that I'm spoiled. It's that when I do get spoiled, like when people need another session today. Okay, we drop it. It's just that when people do get me like gifts, I'm like, I get really, really emotional. Or compliments too. I need so many words of affirmation. I got shat on a lot, like not literally, but like words wise, I got told that I was awful, I was not good enough, etc., etc. So now I just like constantly need people to praise me. Like, please praise me. I am gonna. That's what this is. This is my part wig cap. I styled it already. Here. This is Veronica. I styled it, but it's so humid in here. Nothing can withstand the Canadian humidity right now. And it's just falling apart, and I tried to do the pompadour, it's just not working. Oh, you weren't here for that. That's okay. Okay, we're gonna do a little bit of a and then I'm gonna try putting the contacts in and doing my other stuff. What do you call it? Contacts, eyelashes. Ready? Ready for the spray. Here we go. Okay. I gotta put the contacts in now. Spooky. Spooky. I'm very excited to see what it looks like with contacts in. Should I change the outfit too, or? I have to pee anyway, so. I should tidy up all this crap first. But this setting spray does so much work. Honestly, I will never use another setting spray. I don't need to. But this one's just perfect. What the fuck? My thing broke! That's what I get for shopping at a drugstore. Really? Yeah, I can post it in the chat. Here. I'm allowed to post links because I'm the streamer. But you can't post links. But this is, it only has 167 likes. It's 126 songs, and it's by Romaine Lettuce. Apparently. It's just called Twitch DMCA Free Rock Alt and Prog. So I was like, that sounds good. We'll put that on. We'll take a risk. Oh no! Can we get a klutz in the chat? I spilled makeup remover all over my desk. That's gonna be so greasy. Oh crap, you know what I didn't do? Whoa! Can we get a klutz? I'm klutzing up the place! What I didn't do is my waterline. Now this is something that make your eyes look bigger, which I'm not sure if I want. I actually kind of like... Oh my god. I'm just about to cry it off when I put my contacts in though, so. We are, whoa, don't break that. This current song is called Cold by Never Tell. Spelled Never and then T-E-L. Okay, I'm gonna be right back. I'm just gonna put a BRB, but I'm gonna put in my contacts, so I don't know. This could take a minute and it could take 10 minutes. Depending how good I am at putting in contacts. So don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. In the meantime, you can check out my socials and stuff if you want to stalk me. And join the Discord if you want to post pictures of your selfies or whatever else you might have. I'll be right back.
talk while I hold mine. Want me to change, but you don't know what's right. Maybe you don't know what you're saying. Sick of these games we're playing. I feel like it's not fair. Tell me why now. Help me see how you could be so cold to just lost in my own world. I couldn't really even tell the difference. I guess I'm a kid at heart. It's something I always fought. They think I need a renovation. Let me work on my foundation. Before I lose my patience. Maybe you don't know what you're saying. Sick of these games we're playing. I feel like it's not fair. Tell me why now. Help me see how you could be so cold to my vision is red. Anxiety fills my head. Can't help but compare the wear and tear to what you said. My rhythm is dead, and no melodies in my head. Don't think I could bear to care or dare to write instead. Hands steady, my heart feels ready. I'm halfway there, but it feels so petty. It's the wrong setting. I can't keep letting myself fall out, but I keep forgetting. Hands steady, my heart feels ready. I'm halfway there, but it feels so petty. See the sun setting, it's already setting. Not worth my time for the love I'm getting. Headstrong and it's been too long. Just hope I can sing along the songs that don't feel wrong. I don't wanna know how often you come and go. Don't think that it's best to test the rest so I can grow.
Oh my god.
Steady, my heart feels ready. I'm halfway there, but it feels so petty. It's the wrong setting. I can't keep letting myself fall out, but I keep forgetting. Hands steady, my heart feels ready. I'm halfway there, but it feels so petty. See the sun setting, it's already setting. Not worth my time for the love I'm getting.
I did it! Wait, has it already been 2 hours and 40 minutes? What the fuck? Oh my god, look at these! I'm so hyped! Okay, they kind of burn, but that's because I haven't put contacts in and my eyes aren't used to it. Okay. I have to touch up under my eyes though, because I did touch my face. Hi chat. Say hello to me. god. I need your attention. What do I mean? Oh, hey. Are the contacts too creepy? That's kind of the point. Where did my mirror go? Heck. Oh, it's right there. Hello. This looks so cool. Okay, we're gonna touch up the... Oh. I know. Oh, it actually looks just fine with the makeup that I did, I think. I was worried it was like, well, because I'm doing my makeup for my own natural eye color, but this actually looks super dope. Super, super dope. Alright, now I gotta get this wig on. The skin color match feels like just like a tiny bit off, but that's because I had too much sun today. Okay, makeup. Wow. Okay. I made a mess, now I have to clean it. Cramp. Cramp on a cracker. By the way, I am going to be playing music. It looks like we have enough time to do some music after I get the wig on. So, if you guys would like song requests, we'll turn those on in just a second. I'm probably going to do all originals today, again, for the DMCA purposes. Because we did do a lot of announcements today, I want to make sure everybody gets to hear them. So that we can leave the VOD up and stuff. Okay. Oh yeah, lashes I still need to do. This is the way. I have so many glasses, but I can never find them when I need them, so that's where I'm at right now. I'm gonna leave the rest of the makeup here because I might want to use it, but I got a clip in my hair. I'm surprised how easy I got the contacts in. Like the first one I was like, I just kept blinking, and then the second one I was like, oh yeah, don't blink. If you blink, it will not go in. That's about it. Okay. Your mom's birthday. Oh, well, happy birthday to your mom. And I hope you have a delicious nom noms. Oh, now I want food. It's okay, I'll get food later. What should I have for dinner, chat? I haven't decided yet. I think it's my turn to make dinner, though. I should just wear my hair like this someday. I love the braids look. Thank you! I'm pretty stoked on it, too. The other ones are just pure white. They're like white with the black circles, like the Marilyn Manson eye. So the sleep paralysis demon is going to have those eyes. This one's more like a vampire kind of casual look. Almost midnight for you? Ain't going nowhere? Perfect. Well, that's it. Like I said, I'm gonna get in the full costume and we're gonna do some music, and then I'm gonna shoot the music video, and then I'm gonna eat. Oh my god, hi Duncan! Welcome. Hi Login. Login Feller. Should I call you Login or Feller? Or... This is basically RuPaul's Drag Race. RuPaul's non-binary Drag Race. Except I didn't cover my natural brows. That's where I fucked up. I should have done... Oh, I should have shaved my brows for this. How cool would it look if I did like the... I can actually still do the devil brows. What? We think we're gonna do the devil brows? Gonna do the double brows. Wait a minute. I'm blind enough as it is without my glasses, and now I've got contacts in. There you are. Login is fine. Mansid. Yeah, well, like the eye contacts. Don't overdo. Can you even see that? Yeah, maybe we won't. Maybe we won't do that. Maybe we won't. Maybe I'm doing a bit too much. I could do all out with the next look. The next look's gonna be creepy. I'm gonna put like black paint on like my neck, and like my hands are gonna be covered in black paint. I'm gonna have like dark circles under my eyes. Heck yeah, get that art done. Hey, where's my wig cap? Okay. Hello, Name Twin. Hi, Lana Craig. Welcome. Aw, thank you. Lava Vein. You are so sweet. I think I'm poo-poo caca at makeup, but that's because I'm constantly looking and comparing. And if I just compare myself to how far I've come, like from like teenager me who literally just like smudged black eyeliner around their eyes, I've definitely come a long way. The contouring is actually kind of good. It's like dramatic, but it works because it's gonna be bright lights and camera, so it works. Because you have to keep that in mind. Like the camera, you know how they say the camera adds 10 pounds? The camera also blocks out any like texture. If you have the right lighting, it'll be like, so. Gotta paint for the back of the room kind of thing. So welcome to what I would look like if I was bald. To be honest, I think I'd be kind of cute as a bald person, but only if I wore makeup all the time. I would not feel cute if I had no makeup, no hair. Right, and here's our little horns. And then our little wig. Make sure I take the pins out. Oh, that's magnetic. Oh, neat. I'm a doll. I'm a doll. Thank you. I'm gonna. It's once I put the wig on, y'all. Okay. I hope Cine is still here looking. Thank you so much, Elena, for that resub, by the way. How have you been? Welcome on in to the makeup and costuming stream. Aw, thank you. I'd like to think I could pull up anything. Yeah, but people don't get to see my personality right away. That's the one downfall. Charlie Murphy? Who dat? Who that is? From Halo. I'm trying to look more like Raven from like Teen Titans. But the pompadour didn't work the way that I wanted it to. So I might just spread it out and make it like curl bangs. Creepy. Loving Isn't Enough, by the way. Thank you! Oh, I'm so proud of that song. It's been like my go-to kind of like, oh, this is slippery. I might have to, like, This is not exactly how I thought it was going to turn out. I thought it was going to be a little bit more darker than this, but I think it's just because of my makeup is... Oh, I forgot mascara. But I love how this turned out. I feel badass. I'm gonna have to literally, like... Can I use a pin? No, I'm not gonna use a pin. That's stupid. Like a safety thing. Because otherwise this is just gonna be flimsy and flop around. Because it's on a wig. Yeah. But let's see. It looks pretty good though. Like, for something that I made out of literal pipe cleaners, paper towel, and tape. Bangs bending upwards, you mean like that? That's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Or do you mean like little devil horns? The thing with this weave is it's not a lace front, so you can see that it's a wig. That's why it has bangs. Because as soon as I do this, like, it's very obviously a wig, but because of the way that it's cut. How can I... Cruella de Vil? I could see that. If I just... Yeah, face haunt! I might just need to, like, tape it down with, like, actual tape to my freaking wig. Because I don't think, like, I can pin it. Or maybe, yeah, maybe I can use, like, double-sided tape or something. But these turned out pretty cool. Like, they're kind of, like, meant to be, like, twisted and all squanched. And then they have, like, the lace ribbon here. So, Velcro! Ooh, that might be a good idea. I don't know if the Velcro would stick to the hair, though. Because the hair's really slippery, like it's very slick hair. I love this wig so much. Like, this is my favorite wig to wear. I have like 20 wigs. This is the only one that I would actually wear in public at this point. Because, like, it's the only believable one. But even then, like, I don't know. Velcro sticks to everything. Well, I do have some Velcro. It might be downstairs. Let me see. Either way, wait. First I gotta do my... my eyes. My eyes. And then we can switch over to music. The alien girl from Guardians of the Galaxy? Wait, you talking about the bald one? Or Gamora? Or... like, there's so many aliens in Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't have an eyelash curler, so how I do my eyelashes is I just go like this. Don't judge me. Oh, the mind reading snail. Oh, the mind reading snail. You know what I'm trying to say, right? The one that falls in love with the big bulky guy who's full of himself and doesn't understand sarcasm. I would never want to be telepathic. Mantis! That's it. Yeah, I would never want to be telepathic. I don't want to hear your thoughts. Or... is that telepathy or the yeah, telekinesis is when you can move stuff. I want that one. I want to be able to go... like, what's her face? Red Witch? The WandaVision person? You can tell I'm not very well versed in my, comic book heroes, right? Yo! Juste Zaz, je m'excuse. Hi, bonjour, bienvenue, hello. How are you doing today, my beautiful raiders? What brings you in? We're just working on the makeup and costuming for a music video. Look at my eyes. Well, hello, little raid. Every raid is a good raid. Hey, no matter what size, you brought your whole community here. And that, my friend, that is something, because you could have rated anybody. Oh, you're doing music. Awesome. Let me make sure I'm following you, first of all. Because if I'm not following every single goddamn musician on this platform, then there's something wrong. Because I've been doing the damn thing for 4 years now. And I thought I got everybody. Oh, cool! Québec, français. Français, anglais. But you do gaming on your channel too. Oh, jeux d'horreur, musique rétro, jeux Nintendo. C'est mes jeux préférés. Ce sont mes jeux préférés. I love Nintendo, and horror I don't play as much anymore because horror gives me nightmares. But speaking of nightmares, that's kind of what we are doing today. We did the makeup, le maquillage, on a fait, et puis aussi des... C'est quoi les mots pour horn? Je l'ai oublié! But we made these on stream. Well, welcome to the Twitch universe. It looks like you're doing pretty well for yourself, though. So we're actually just about to do some music as well, ourselves. But I am in the beauty category as it stands. Go. Like licorne. Unicorn is a unicorn. Okay. Oh. Alright, well let us switch over to the music, I think. We're gonna switch over to music. It's very hot in here though, so I'll probably do like up to an hour. We'll say up to an hour. But we'll turn on song requests. I think, you know what, even if we do some covers, it'll probably be okay. Yeah, we have a lot of French. On a beaucoup de gens français ici parce qu'on a beaucoup de fans qui viennent de France. Et aussi, j'habite à côté de Québec, donc je suis proche. Mais français est ma deuxième langue et j'ai sûrement je l'ai appris quand j'étais petite, donc maintenant c'est difficile pour moi à parler, mais je pratique tous les jours avec Duolingo et mon prononciation est si mieux parce que j'ai travaillé à Québec, donc c'est la raison que je ressemble pas à une personne anglaise. When you hear me try to say grammar or like feminine or masculine, that's when you know that I am not a native French speaker. I get the le la mixed up all the time. Ça pratique mon anglais? Parfait, bien sûr. I will speak English then. That works for me too. You're from Andy's stream. From Andy the Frenchie? Andy the Frenchie is awesome. We got to do 2 collabs. 2 or 3. Was it 3? I think it was 2. 3? We did 3. We did 1 at her place and then 2 at mine. I thought we did 2 at mine. Because we did 1 where we were regular and then we did 1 where we did crazy body paint and we turned her into a mermaid and we turned me into cat piano. Because the one that we did at her place, it was an Andy stream, and then the one at my place, we did 1 body paint because we went to go to a haunted house after. So we did all our body paint to do a costume, and then the one before that was goth. We both did goth looks. We had a lot of fun. Yeah, exactly. So 3 all together. But yeah, I gotta go do more collabs. She's so close to me. It's late for you and you're tired, babe. Bonsoir et bon rêve. Good night and good dreams. Don't dream of me, because I will haunt you. That's the point. I think I want a little bit more purple, actually. Just to make the eyes pop a bit more. Let's see. Ils sont pas habitués à la musique dans ça. Yeah, so I find it's pretty much that. Like, it's so much easier to grow as a music streamer, and then once you find a community with your music, then people will watch you when you play video games. Because quand j'ai commencé en Twitch, j'ai joué League of Legends et puis j'ai gagné comme affiliate. I became an affiliate, but then I started playing music to try and make myself stand out from the other gamers. I would play music while I was playing games. En même temps, je joue la musique et aussi les jeux. Et après ça, j'ai appris qu'il y a une petite communauté des musiciennes sur Twitch. Mais c'était il y a 4 années passées. Donc, like, before, it wasn't even music category. It was... Il n'y a aucun... topic? How do you say category? There was no category. It was just IRL, like en réalité. That was the only category. So it was people cooking, it was people going on adventures, it was people playing music, it was all the things. And there was a couple people who did just music, so that's really cool. How big it's become. Catégorie, ça fonctionne? Ok. Ça marche. Okay, the contacts hurt at first, but now I'm getting used to them. Oh, c'est cool ça. C'est cool ça. Mr. MV brought you here. Of course he did. Mr. MV is a legend. Absolute legend. Okay. On va changer notre setup and I'm going to play music. But first, I have to move all of this crap. 20 years of guitar, wow. I think I've played piano for that long. Puppies! Hi, puppies! Oh, it's such a little baby puppies. It's been 3 weeks and I still can't sleep in my bed. Laying it on my bed. Yeah, the voice is a hard thing to get right. You really need vocal lessons and you need to practice every day. Because when you're a singer, like your voice is you. So it also depends on if you're good in the head, like are you hungry? Are you sleepy? Are you doing well in life? Like a lot of factors come into play for your voice. I'm just gonna put all this on a thingy. So what do you think? Lashes? No? Probably not. Okay. I kind of have to keep the horns up though, unless they'll stick. Maybe they'll stick with the headphones, but I feel like as soon as I do this, they're gonna fall off. More easier. I mean, you could say it's not correct, but I understand what you mean. Right? I will never clock somebody for having bad English, because if you have bad English, that means that you speak probably at least 2 languages. And being bilingual is such a talent, honestly. Oh my goodness. Did I just unplug my stuff? Alright. Yeah, that's it. People are like, oh, you can't even speak English. I was like, well, I speak 3 languages, so English is just my 3rd language. What do you speak? You know, I'm like, that's such a flex. I love that. English is my 1st language, but French is my 2nd. And I tried learning German as well. I got some of the pronunciation, but it's just really hard. And Spanish, too, because Spanish is very similar to French. Spanish and Italian are like... laughs in 7 languages. Hee hee hee, ha ha ha, heh. Choke on my own spit. Alright, we're in the music category. We should change the title. What should the title be? Your worst nightmare plays music for you. I don't know. I'm like so unaware of how big these are. They keep bumping the thing. This is a look, though. You barely speak English? That's a lie. I've met you in real life. You speak English pretty well. Wait. All right, chat. I think the song list is open now if you want to request a song. I would kindly request originals, but, you know, a cover here and there is fine, too. Thank you! I want to wear it more often. I feel like Halloween should happen at least 4 times a year. That's just my opinion, though. A console? Do you mean like... So how are you recording your voice right now? You just... with your webcam mic? You could. You could. I'd probably butcher it. I never practice it, so... Just the mic? Yeah, so I have this mic, and then I've got... Oh, I can't show you, because my camera doesn't move very much. Otherwise, it'll unplug itself. But I have a Focusrite interface. I think I have a gear command. Yeah, well, you know what? Just keep at it. I'm telling you right now, as a streamer, my first ever donation goal was for a microphone and an interface. And then once I made that goal, you just keep making the next goals. But the Twitch community I have helped me pay for this whole studio. Like the camera, this is a $5,000 camera. This is a $7,000 keyboard. My guitar, like my new interface, like everything that I own would not be possible without my Twitch supporters. So yeah, like just keep at it. And you start small, and then people will want to help you get better and get bigger. And it's gotten to the point where it's like I have nothing left to upgrade. I don't need any. Yeah, the 4 years ago setup, we have clips of that, don't we? It was literally I had like 2 frames per second. It was like because my internet was so bad. I was streaming on a laptop. Yeah, I was streaming on a laptop, and I was literally just using the webcam and the mic on the laptop, but people still could hear my talents through all of that. So they were like, yeah, I'll donate. Because it's more than just being talented. It's about being a nice person and just being somebody that people can get along with and, you know, like enjoy being around. If you're fun to be around, then people don't care that your setup is shit, because, you know, they're just happy to be there and be there for the ride. No bagpipes! No! I really like this eye color on me. Like, why the heck? Why wasn't I born with these eyes? This eye color is, like, the best for me. Like, what? Like, this just works. The stream used to be fun. Yeah, now it's just boring. I got too professional. I'm so professional now, like, people don't even know what to do. Ooh, okay, we already got a lot of songs in the queue, so. Maybe the hurdy-gurdy. I could probably rock the hurdy-gurdy. There we go. All right, so we're going to start off with Monsters Under My Bed. Peak 3.5 years ago, for sure. Absolutely. The Baby Shark era was the peak. Zelda? No, my first few streams were League of Legends. I might have played some Zelda too. I don't know. Orchestral Shark. Gospel Shark. Sad Shark. Yeah, a lot of you guys like fell in love with the person that I was 3.5 years ago, and now you're just stuck with me, so sorry. But I think we have some new people too. How many of you guys have been here just for the past, like, let's say, past year? That's still even not that new. Ice Cream is. Yeah, Ice Cream quickly became the #1 fan of the past year for sure. I don't even know what the past 2 years is either. I can't tell you. August 2018. That's old. That's like the 1.5 or 3.5 year mark. Here since Holocene stream. That's pretty new. When you were free, you were like my second mod ever. The first mod I had was like my IRL friend who I played League with. Cause I'm like, I need a mod. Two years. Wow. And that's your first message. I love how like Twitch outs people for like being lurkers, but I also hate it. I'm like, it's okay, you can lurk. You don't ever have to say anything. But it's cool to see how many people are there in the background that I never get to know because I never see their username. It's crazy to think about. Like how I have like hundreds of people watching, but I only ever get to talk to like 10 of them. It's neat. But it kind of works that way. If everybody talked at once, I would just not be able to keep a conversation. You've been following for longer. You just unfollowed me. It's okay. It's okay. It's been more than a year. It's absolutely been more than a year. Baby Shark era was way before COVID. I remember because I was happy back then. Okay, but for serious, this is the next single that I'm going to be releasing. It's going to be on all music streaming platforms, and there's going to be a music video, which I'm actually filming tonight with this makeup. I'm going to change my outfit, though. This is not music video material. Hi for the background. Welcome. Welcome, Poogram. All right. A little sippy sip. This isn't wine. It's actually human blood. Okay, no, not on MySpace. It's going to be on Spotify, iTunes, Deezer, Tidal. It's even going to be on that one, if they allow it. There's like a music streaming platform for Islam that's like, what's the word? Haram? I can't remember. 3 years, yeah. Time really flies when you're in a global pandemic and you're stuck in the house and you have nothing better to do than watch Twitch streams. Am I right? Anyways, it's gonna be out there. It's gonna be out and about. Out and about. You'll have it on YouTube too, for all of you who don't use music streaming platforms. That's the word. That's the word. Halal is good.
It's like the switch is broken, just like me. Why can't I find a little peace and quiet? Oh, my game for some silence. It's been a busy day. You should be tired, they say, but I'm so wide awake, overanalyzing the mistakes. And am I one? Well, who's to say? Seconds passing and I'm wide awake. Why can't I shut up my brain? It's been 3 weeks and I still can't sleep in my bed. Blame it on all the voices in my head telling me
these infinite doubts. I'm an idiot, I'm full of shit, and everybody knows it. Why is my existence such a crime? I can't get my mind off my mind. I'm running in a circle like it's a circus, but these animals are feeling nervous. Yeah, seconds passing and I'm wide awake. Why can't I shut out my brain? It's been 3 weeks and I still can't sleep in my bed. Blame it on all the voices in my head telling me that I'll be better off dead. Blame it on the monsters under my bed. I see, but I can't believe what I've read. Could it be that I might have been misled? Close my eyes, but I'm wide awake instead. Blame it on the monsters under my bed. Yeah, yeah. And if I die before I break, I pray the Lord my soul to take. Am I just delirious? Sorry, I said something serious. I should see a doctor, but I don't think they'd understand us. And I've got a confession. I've got a condition. And under these conditions, I'm wishing I wasn't. Well, it's been 3 weeks and I still can't sleep in my bed. Blame it on all the voices in my head telling me that I'd be better off dead. Blame it on the monsters under my bed. I see, but I can't believe what I've read. Could it be I might have been misled? Close my eyes, but I'm wide awake instead. Blame it on the monsters under my bed. I'm so happy with how this outfit looks for that song. Like, this is gonna be such a cute little music video. Not the full budget one that I want to do with burlesque dancers and people like, you know. Oh my god, this horns. I'm so unaware of where they are on my head. But they're so cute though. I just need to tape them down. That's it. I think I'm just gonna have to tape them. Tape them to the hair. Holy crap, it's hot in here. I am excited to just like go downstairs after this. It's like 27 degrees in this room. It's crazy. I am le sweaty. Sweaty spaghetti. All right, up next we got Stone Cold Killer for John. That is right. The drinks there were so expensive. You're talking about that tiki bar, right? The open mic we played at? That's why I did the spray. The spray is basically going to seal everything in. My legs can be sweaty, but my face, it won't be sweaty. It's not allowed. Oh. It's summer. It was winter and now it's summer. The Hilton bar? I don't even remember. Crap. I need a new tuner. Please work. You're fine. What's that? Pitch? Cow? You were working yesterday. There we go. What's something cold that I can eat for dinner? It's purple in Monopoly? Wait, what? I played the Hilton? Are you guys... What do you mean? Are you talking about the Tiki Bar? What was your most memorable moment from watching me play? Because I know you guys came to some of the gigs, but I played 4 gigs in London, I think. That was under the Hilton. No way. I was so clueless. Expired did all the planning for me. I was like, Expired, I want to go to every open mic ever, every night. He's like, okay, here, I found this on Tuesday, this on Wednesday, this on Friday, this on Saturday. I'm like, yes. Oh, no, wait, no, we didn't go on Saturday because it was the London meetup. But every single place that I played got progressively better and better until the last one. I got like yelled at for like being full of myself because instead of like sitting in the front row, I went off to a different table to go eat. And it's like, you don't even listen to other people perform. I'm like, yeah, I'm just sitting over here because like I want to eat food and not be in your way. Expired will remember that one. That was the one where I laughed so hard and I did one of these. I was like, ah! And then I slapped a picture frame off of the bar and broke it. I'm like, it's fine, right? And Expired holds it up. It's like broken. I'm like, like I just broke this bar's freaking menu frame. And you could see the guys behind me like being like, oh. But then they went up and flirted with me after. So I was like, they know what they're getting themselves into, right? I have pure chaos. Okay, let's do Stone Cold Killer. Those are good times. I really do want to travel again, but I don't think it'll be for TwitchCon. Like, I would love to do like a London meetup again, but for TwitchCon, just because there's so many people from so many different places, like, I'm scared of COVID, and I'm scared not just of getting COVID, but if I get COVID, then I'm stuck in Europe. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. They won't let you travel if you test positive. And you need a negative test to travel, so. You can't just be like, oh, I'm fine. And the airport's like, yeah, okay, we'll take your word for it. Anyways. Yeah, every single place was like, yo, so when can you come back? I'm like, I live in Canada, so next year, maybe? I'm like, it's not that being stuck in Europe is bad, it's that I'm gonna miss my cat. I'm gonna like spend more money. Like, if I can find somebody to live with, that'd be fine. Hi, Champ Cool, welcome. Do you notice anything different about me today? All right, where's my pick? Oh. Yeah, I've been out in the sun every day this week. I'm a stone cold killer, baby. Don't you mess around with me. I'm a stone cold killer, lover. Don't you mess around with me. I'm a cold-blooded murderer. Don't you dare lie to me. I'm a stone cold killer, baby. Ooh. Don't even know how I'm still alive. I guess I just give it, keep it in, let it go, and I survive. I'm so sick and tired of trying to live this life, and it's gotten to the point where it makes no difference if I live or if I die. Yeah. Don't you wish you could put life on pause? Oh, sweetie, you know me, 'cause I'm dying for the cause. For a second you can put life on hold, but it's too hard to live this way when your heart's ice cold. I'm a stone cold killer, baby. Don't you mess around with me. I'm a stone cold killer, don't you mess around with me. I'm a cold-blooded murderer. goes another day, and it seems it's gone to waste. I don't know anything anymore, I just copy and paste. Filling out the forms and filling in the blanks. Grinding gears, talking back years, taking years just to move up the ranks. It only goes one direction, it only goes one way. Make sure you're in the right direction, be careful not to stray. It's the same damn thing, day after day after day after day, and I gotta get away, I gotta break away. Yeah, I'm a stone cold killer, baby, don't you mess around with me. I'm a stone cold killer, Lord, don't you mess around with me. I'm a cold-blooded murderer, don't you tell that to me. I'm a stone cold killer, baby. One more time. I'm a stone cold killer, baby. I'm a stone killer, baby. I killer, baby. Y'all just hyping me up in chat? Stop it. It's gonna go right to my big fat ego. It's already been fed today just by how freaking stunning I look with this getup. I've already fed my ego, okay? If you keep feeding it, he's gonna get fat, okay? And then you know what happens to overinflated egos? They go, right? I usually go by Merms, by the way. That's not uni, but Merms. But yeah, I'm playing Blues Fest. I'm opening for Sarah McLachlan on July 7th at my Canada's Capital Blues Fest, Ottawa Blues Fest. I play lots of random bars around town as well. Belle avec les cordes. Merci Avignon. Merci beaucoup. Et aussi, je vois, I also see Jukesters in the chat. Hi, Jukesters. Hello. Do you like my horns? I have 2 horns today, not just the one in the middle. We got 2. We're doubling down on the horns stocks. Well, the outfit, this isn't the outfit for the music video, but it's too hot. It is literally 27 degrees in here. It is too hot to be wearing clothes. The fact that I'm wearing clothes, you know, just consider yourselves lucky or misfortunate, however you want to look at it. I can't get banned though. You look hornier than usual. I'll take it. I'll take it. We do puns here. We definitely do puns here. So I know. Wait, $1,000 each way? Is that because it's like so close to the date? Something like that. That's it. I'll probably try and book a gig in Montreal too at some point this summer. I have a friend down there. I've got more than one friend down there, but I have a friend down there that can probably rent out a venue just because they're a fan. Sarah McLachlan fan. In the arms of the angel. In the arms of the angel, will you find some comfort here? I'm also opening for Alicia Cara, who did like scars till you're beautiful, no scars and we're beautiful. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And you don't have to change a thing, the world won't change its heart. No scars till you're beautiful, no scars and we're beautiful. just wants to be beautiful, so sweet. Yeah, that song. I know a bunch more. My eyes are getting dried up. I know a bunch more Alicia Cara songs than I do Sarah McLachlan, to be perfectly honest. I think Sarah McLachlan was a couple years before my time, but still a legend, an absolute legend. And Alanis Morissette's playing that weekend, and Rage Against the Machine is playing the next week of the festival. So I'm going to get to see all of them. I get to play on the first day, and then after that, I get to just chill at the festival, because they give you passes if you're performing. So, I don't know how it can be cold in Arizona. I think Arizonans just have a different frame of reference for what is cold. Please take my heat, please. All right, let's try doing Joker. I can never do the solo for this. As we all know, as Volley knows, I cannot solo for shit. But I'm working on my leg gains, but I had to take too many days off, and now I have no gains. Under 100 degrees is cold now? Oh, take me away. I don't want to. No. Actually, I almost got it that time. Let's try one more time. This is a solo that I wrote, by the way, that I cannot even play because that's how complicated the shit I write sometimes is. And then if I don't practice it, like I practice monsters all the time, but this one I don't practice. I'm just going to wing it and pray. I'm just going to pray to Satan that this works out. Holy crap, it's hot. Okay. This one's called Joker, and I wrote it inspired by The Joker, the movie that came out with Joaquin Phoenix. Oh my god, so powerful. Okay. Society filled with heartlessness and senseless greed. Everybody's looking out for themselves, can't you see? They don't give a damn about people like you and me. Well, life will take some more till you're left bruised and bleeding out on the floor. I'm not the person that I was before, 'cause now I've got nothing left to live for. I'm one move away from breaking. Don't you dare try to test my patience. I've got the confidence of a man with nothing left to lose. So if you mess with me, then I just might shoot. Life is a joke, life is a joke, isn't it funny? Look at them run, look at them running from me. They used to tease me, now no one's laughing at me. 'Cause I got the gun, look at them running from me. Life's a dark and twisted place, so let's put a smile question, hun. Why so serious? Life is a joke, life is a joke, and isn't it funny? Look at them running from me. They used to tease me, now no one's laughing at me. Cause I got the gun, look at them running from me. Life is a joke, life is a joke. Life is a joke, life is a joke, life is a joke, life is a joke. Just the right amount of insanity, not too much, of course. Holy crap, it's hot. Okay, we're closing the queue. I'm like literally gonna get heat stroke if I keep playing. I gotta stop. This heat wave is killing me. I can't. I am but a simple Canadian. All right, we're gonna do Bad Habit for Admin coming up next. Actually, you know what? Can we do Haters Gonna Hate for Ice Cream first? And then we'll do Bad Habits. Because then I can do the bass songs together. I'm not Malefica. No, I'm just me. I definitely look like Maleficent. Well, yeah, I could, but the thing is, we're almost done the stream anyways. We're gonna end at 7. But I would like to shoot the music video as fast as possible so that I can like get out of the wig, because wigs are not comfortable to wear for long periods of time. They squeeze your head. It's like having your head in a tube. It's not the greatest. But also, yeah, I think the heat is fucking with me really hard. Okay. Oh, here we go. Haters gonna hate. I might pop down for a couple minutes just to say hi to Andy and see what's up. Bonjour, ça va? It's like a head condom, yeah, it squeezes your head. Okay. This one's called Haters Gonna Hate. If you have kids watching, maybe you shouldn't watch this one. Just saying. It's a little PG-13. Hey you, I don't like your personality. I think you'd look so much better without all that negativity. You should see a doctor, check out that cancerous ego. Won't you step down from your pedestal if you will, you're not that regal, no, yeah. We've all got our demons, but baby, we keep them inside. And those are the laws I abide by, and I tried. Well, if you could keep your opinions to yourself, well, that'd be great. Cause when you talk, you don't make words, you don't make sense, you just verbally masturbate. And it's disgusting, it's everywhere, and you don't care about anybody else. And it's repulsive, you're completely infatuated with yourself. It's disgusting, it's everywhere, and you don't care about anybody else. And it's repulsive, you're completely infatuated with yourself. So Shut your mouth and get the fuck out, cause we don't wanna hear your bullshit. A big fuck you, fuck your mom too, cause your gene pool's just drowning in bullshit. La 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 la, we don't wanna hear it. La 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 la, cause you're full of shit. La da 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 da. I have the strongest desire to set your house on fire, but I wouldn't want to smell the shit that you burn. Yeah, I don't want to hear another word. Yeah, 'cause I'm sick of all that you've done. Yeah, oh, if you look up narcissist in the encyclopedia, you find your face. I'm so sick of your verbal diarrhea. Yeah, it's disgusting, it's everywhere, and you don't care about anybody else, and it's repulsive. You're completely infatuated with yourself, and it's disgusting, it's everywhere, and you don't care about anybody else, and it's repulsive. You're completely infatuated with yourself. So shut your mouth and get the fuck out, cause we don't wanna hear your bullshit. A big fuck you, fuck your mom too, cause your gene pool's drowning in bullshit. La 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 la, we don't wanna hear it. La 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 la, cause you're full of shit. I just want to make it clear that this song is dedicated to anybody who is being a piece of shit to other people. If you're a mean person, if you're a bully, if you're an abuser, this song is for you. But for everybody else in the chat, this is just a fun song to sing to your enemies. Yeah, so shut your mouth and get the fuck out, cause we don't want to hear your bullshit. A big fuck you, fuck your mom too, cause your gene pool's drowning in bullshit. La 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 la, we don't wanna hear it. La 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 la, cause you're full of shit. You don't have enemies. That can't be true. Everybody's got enemies. Sometimes yourself is your own enemy. Those voices in your head that tell you you're not good enough, that's an enemy. That's one right there. Thank you for the follows. Mr. Poopy Butthole? Why? Why would Mr. Poopy Butthole be offended by that song? I was tuning the wrong string. There's a version of that on my YouTube if you want to check it out. It's a different version, it's older. I wrote that about somebody's ex-girlfriend, or I can't remember if it was my ex's new girlfriend or something, was like sending me hate texts and like commenting on every video with like an anonymous account to just like say mean shit on all my YouTube videos. So I wrote a song, and then I posted it on YouTube so that they could see it and commented on it. And it stopped after that. I don't know if they did. You would see it. It was some stupid name. It was like a bunch of letters and numbers. It wasn't even like a real official account, so. Was it incroyable? Merci. More and more. Let's go. Okay, we're gonna do Bad Habit now. Bad habits lead to 99 sipping with you. Not that one though. Different one. Okay. I am so hot right now. Yo, how good did this base look with this outfit though? Like with the eyes though, the eyes and the base are on point. They are matching. Okay. What a waste of time. Drinking all your days away and partying every night. What a waste of a life. Working to get paid to afford to destroy your mind. And I think it's fine. I spent my whole life this way. They say that I can change one day at a time. But I couldn't find God no matter how I prayed. You know how it goes. Got my highs and my lows, yeah. You know it's just the ebb and the flow. But my highs are too high and my lows are so low. Don't be so dramatic. It's just a bad habit. I'll keep my dirty little secrets hanging in the attic. You're so predictable and know all your bad tactics. So don't be so dramatic. I'm not an addict, it's just a bad habit. It's just a bad habit. All the lies that you tell, it's clear, my dear, you're fooling no one but yourself. And the lines that you sell, reality is blind, but it's got you under your spell. Now you're reaching for help. You're all alone in the hell that you made. So you turn to God, but you couldn't find God no matter how much you prayed. Oh, you know how it goes. Got my highs and my lows, yeah. You know it's just the ebb and the flow. But my highs are too high and my lows are so low. Don't be so dramatic. It's just a bad habit. I'll keep my dirty little secrets hanging in the attic. You're so predictable and know all your bad tactics. So don't be so dramatic. I'm not an addict, it's just a bad habit. One last cigarette, that's all I have left. Gonna put the past behind me. One breath, take a step right, left to forget everything you heard about me. One last cigarette, that's all I have left. Gonna put the past behind me. One step, take a breath right, left to forget everything you heard about me. You know how it goes. Got my highs and my lows, yeah. You know it's just the ebb and the flow. But my highs are too high and my lows are so low. My lows are so low. So don't be so dramatic. It's just a bad habit. I'll keep my dirty little secrets hanging in the attic. You're so predictable and know all your bad tactics. Don't be so dramatic. I'm not an addict, it's just a bad habit. I am so hot. I need to stop stream. I'm like panting because of how hot it is. This is like hot yoga on steroids, how hot it is right now. I'm dying. I cannot. Okay. I need to go live in a freezer for a bit. But hey, we almost made it to 4 hours. We're only 8 minutes shy. By the time we raid, oh my god, my head. Holy crap. Okay. But hey, it's been a lot of fun today. I gotta finish a music video. I gotta shoot a music video and then change my makeup and then do more music video shooting, and then I gotta make dinner. So I've got a lot to do, and it's 7 p.m. So if I want to be in bed by 11, questionable. But yeah, thank you for coming in. I had so much fun. I can't believe we still had like over 100 average viewers just watching me do makeup. Yes, I've got both the clefs. I'm pimped out. I have hand tats, which means I'm a gangster. So gangster. Yes. I am part of the club sandwich. I don't know. This hand doesn't do the rock and roll finger though. This one does. This one doesn't. I can't move this finger. Ow. Ow. Anyways, yeah, it was a lot of fun. Okay, let's get that playlist back on. No, I'm not going to D&D like this. I'm shooting a video for Monsters Under My Bed, which you should be able to pre-save soon. I am going to be uploading all the album this weekend. And Monsters Under My Bed is coming out as a single. So it's going to be like kind of like a teaser to the full album. So Kickstarter is launching tomorrow. You'll be able to pre-order all your CDs and vinyls. I am so excited. If we make this Kickstarter goal of $7,000, we are going to have all the vinyls and all the CDs you could ever possibly imagine. And yeah, the eyes. We've got red eyes today. So yeah, the Kickstarter drops tomorrow. We are going to be doing a stream to celebrate while it goes live. But if you want my new copy, wow. Let me try that one more time. Actually, I should put these off. I should make this for a clip for Twitter. You guys get to see me be a spokesperson. The Kickstarter, oh my god. This is what I do behind the scenes, by the way. The Kickstarter for my new album, Mind Over Matter, to be put on vinyl, CD, and USB is launching tomorrow. That's Friday, okay? So if you want to be the first to pre-order my album on vinyl, CD, or USB, go check out the Kickstarter. We're going to be doing a launch party stream tomorrow as well around noon Eastern Daylight Time. So join us for that and more fun. See you there. Oh shit, I'll just do this after. 3, 2, 1, go. Because then I don't have to crop a huge video. Anyways, we're gonna raid somebody. I'll do it right after. Don't worry. Okay. I'm so sorry, Timon and Spring Vibes. I will get you songs tomorrow if you're around tomorrow. But I am just dying. I am just dying right now. Oh my god. Yeah, I should probably take a cool down break real quick after this. I don't even know who to raid. We did so much different stuff today. Who do you guys want to raid? Yeah, it's not even air conditioned. It's just slightly cooler. Bass Boombox. Who are you? I feel like you've raided us. I think she's doing an edgy stream today, so maybe we'll raid this person. I have to go. I am too hot. Send my love to Bass Boombox. She's a Dutchie in America. Bass Boomer Bow. And she's currently sitting at 36 viewers, so let's go throw a bunch of viewers at her. She's singing Evanescence right now, and it looks like there's some My Chemical Romance in the queue too, which I'm excited for. I will have so much fun with my video. Make sure you are following the Instagram, instagram.com/SterlingSilverSinger. Sterling Silver Singer. Sterling Silver Singer. That's me. I will be posting behind the scenes to my Instagram stories, so you can find all the exclusive content of my life, the food that I eat, the exercise that I get on my Instagrams. You can also follow me on Twitter, Alana_Sterling. Or just, keep following me on Twitch. I'm here, at least a couple times a week. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Alright, I'll see you next time. Bye! 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 I'm still waving. You guys can't even see me. I'm like, bye! Bye! Still waving. Still waving. Still waving. Alright, I love you. Thank you for tuning in and supporting me! I love you. I support you too. You can do anything that you say your mind to. For real though. You can do anything. I'm proud of you. You're doing a great job. You're doing an amazing job. Keep it up.